Born broken, reborn unstoppable, this blonde demon masters time itself and tells the universe not today, bitch. Freezing chaos, undoing horrors, outsmarting gods while loving harder than anyone. Wizard King soul in a ninja body, straight legendary, jaw-dropping hype.
The kunai fell. It slipped from the training post where some genin had left it, lodged too shallow, knocked loose by a gust of autumn wind. A simple thing, metal and gravity. The kind of moment no one notices, no one remembers, except it never hit the ground. 6-year-old Naruto Uzumaki stood in the empty training field behind the academy, his hand outstretched, his blue eyes wide with wonder. The kunai hung in the air 2 feet above the dirt, spinning on its axis in an impossibly slow rotation. Not falling, not rising, just paused, like someone had pressed a button on reality and told it to wait. The wind still blew, the leaves still rustled, the world kept moving. But that single kunai existed outside of it, frozen in a bubble of something Naruto didn't have a name for yet. He leaned closer, his nose nearly touching the hovering blade. His eyes tracked the spin with a focus no 6-year-old should possess. The way the light caught the edge, the way the balance point sat slightly off-center from a manufacturing imperfection, the aerodynamic drag created by the ring at the pommel. The spin rate is compensating for the weight distribution, he whispered to himself, grinning so wide it hurt. That's why thrown kunai curve left when they lose velocity. The ring catches air. That's amazing. He circled the frozen weapon like a hawk circling prey, except his expression held nothing predatory. Pure, unfiltered joy. Scientific ecstasy. He reached out and flicked the tip of the kunai with his finger, watching the vibration travel through the metal at a fraction of its normal speed, visible to his naked eye like a wave rolling through water. I can see the resonance frequency, he breathed. I can actually see it. He didn't know what he'd done. Not yet. But he knew, with every fiber of his small body, that something extraordinary had just happened. Something that felt less like learning and more like remembering. That night, in his cramped apartment, Naruto sat cross-legged on his bed and stared at his hands. He'd spent 3 hours trying to recreate what happened. Failed 26 times. Succeeded on the 27th. A glass of water sat on his nightstand. He focused, pushing that strange warmth through his fingertips, and the surface of the water went still. Not calm still, frozen in time still. He tilted the glass sideways and the water didn't spill. It hung there defying every law of physics, held in the shape of the glass by nothing but Naruto's will. He tilted the glass upside down. The water stayed. A perfect cylinder of liquid suspended in midair as the glass pulled away. Naruto laughed. Not a desperate laugh, not a lonely laugh. A laugh of pure, childlike discovery. The kind of sound scientists make when they split atoms for the first time. This is the best day of my life, he told the floating water. Then he released whatever he was doing, and it splashed all over his bed. He didn't care. He was already planning his next experiment. The third Hokage received 7 reports that month about strange temporal disturbances near Training Ground 3. A bird that flew backward. A puddle that froze and thawed in rapid succession without any temperature change. A training post that appeared to age 50 years overnight, its wood rotting and crumbling before reverting to normal by morning. Hiruzen Sarutobi read each report with his pipe clenched between his teeth, his old eyes heavy with a mixture of concern and fascination. "And the boy?" he asked. The Ambu dog tilted his masked face. "We lost visual on the Uzumaki child for approximately 4 hours during each incident, Lord Third." Lost visual. Yes, sir. On a 6-year-old. The silence that followed was deeply uncomfortable for everyone in the room wearing a mask. Hiruzen set down his pipe. "How?" "We don't know, sir. One moment he was walking home from the academy. The next he simply wasn't there. No chakra trail, no scent trail, no displacement. He didn't leave. He just stopped being detectable." The Hokage stared at the reports for a long time. He thought about Minato. He thought about Kushina. He thought about the seal on that boy's stomach and what it might be doing to him, what it might be unlocking. He was wrong about the source, but he was right to be worried, because Naruto Uzumaki wasn't becoming something new. He was remembering something ancient. By age 8, Naruto had figured out three things. First, he could stop time. Not universally, not for long periods, but within localized spaces, he could bring motion to a complete halt. He called it pausing, like pressing stop on a recording. Second, he could accelerate time. He could make things age, decay, grow, or advance at speeds that made seconds feel like centuries. A seed became a tree became dust, a fresh apple became a withered husk. Third, and this was the one that excited him most, he could reverse time. He could take something broken and make it whole. He could take something old and make it new. He could rewind moments, undo damage, erase changes. These weren't jutsu, not in the traditional sense. He wasn't weaving hand signs or molding chakra through tenketsu like the textbooks described. He was channeling something deeper, something that felt like it came from a place inside him that existed before he was born. And then there was the book. It appeared on his 9th birthday. He woke up and it was floating above his bed, massive and coverless, its pages made of pure luminescent energy, turning slowly in the morning light. It hummed, not with sound, but with presence, with intent, with knowledge. Naruto stared at it for exactly 3 seconds before his face split into the widest grin of his life. "You're beautiful," he told it. The grimoire's pages turned faster, as if preening. He spent the next 6 hours reading it, or rather, absorbing it. The pages contained no written language he recognized, but the knowledge flowed into him like water filling a vessel that had always been empty. Time magic, not jutsu, magic. A different system, a different source, but one that interfaced with chakra like a key fitting that shouldn't exist. By noon, he understood what he was, who he had been. The memories weren't complete, not linear, not a full life played back in sequence. They came in impressions, feelings. A warm kingdom, magic knights in colored robes, a title that meant everything because it meant serving everyone, a clover on a headband, a love for magic so profound it defined an entire existence. The Wizard King, the 28th. Julius Novachrono. Naruto sat on his bed, the grimoire floating beside him, and he smiled. Not because he had power, not because he had answers, but because now he understood why he loved jutsu so much, why every technique he saw made his heart race, why every unique ability filled him with stars. It was in his soul, always had been. "Okay," he said to the empty room, to the grimoire, to whatever cosmic force had dropped a Wizard King's soul into a Jinchuriki's body. "Let's see everything this world has to offer." The first time Naruto snuck into the Hyuga compound, he was 9 and disguised as a delivery man. The transformation jutsu he used wasn't the academy version. It wasn't an illusion layered over his body. It was a physical transformation, down to the cellular level, maintained by time manipulation that kept his altered state locked in place. No chakra signature leak, no tells. No way to detect it short of a Byakugan piercing his actual Tenketsu network, which was ironic, given where he was. He walked through the Hyuga compound carrying a crate of imported tea, nodding politely to branch members, his heart hammering with excitement beneath his disguised exterior. He'd read about the gentle fist in every public scroll he could find, but reading wasn't seeing, and seeing wasn't the same as understanding. He set the crate down near the training courtyard and lingered, watching a Hyuga elder run a young branch member through the 64 palms rotation drill. His eyes, hidden behind the face of a middle-aged merchant, went wide with rapture. "The chakra expulsion from the Tenketsu creates a rotational barrier," he whispered under his breath, pulling out a small notebook that definitely should not have been in the delivery crate. But it's not just expulsion. They're manipulating the timing of their chakra release to create overlapping layers, like temporal stacking. Each pulse arrives at a slightly different moment to create a continuous surface. He filled 3 pages with notes and diagrams before the elder looked his way, and he had to scuttle off with a polite bow. The Uchiha compound was next. Harder to infiltrate, given the military police presence, but Naruto managed it as a stray orange cat. He perched on a wall and watched a pair of Uchiha Chunin practicing their great fireball technique, his feline eyes sparkling with unholy interest. "The chakra to heat conversion ratio is incredible," he meowed to himself, which came out as an actual meow, but the excitement was there. And the Sharingan tracks the molding process in real time, allowing them to adjust output midstream. It's self-correcting. The eye is the feedback loop. He was so engrossed that he fell off the wall, and Uchiha Jinin picked him up by the scruff. "Stupid cat, how'd you get in here?" Naruto purred innocently, his little cat brain already planning his next visit. The Anbu assigned to Naruto's protection detail developed a drinking problem within 6 months. "He's gone again," reported Cat, her voice flat with the resignation of someone who had accepted their suffering. "When?" asked Bear. 20 minutes ago. He was in his apartment. I blinked. He wasn't." "Did you check I checked the academy, the ramen stand, the training grounds, the library, the Hokage monument, the merchant district, the red light district." "He's 9. I'm being thorough. I also checked the rooftops, the sewers, the Anbu headquarters break room." "Why would he be in our break room?" "Because last Tuesday he was in our break room, disguised as a potted plant." Bear stared at her. A potted plant. The fern by the coffee machine. It was him for 3 hours. Dog sat next to it and talked about his ex-girlfriend. The silence stretched. "I'm putting in for a transfer," Bear said. "Denied," said the third Hokage, who had been listening the entire time through his crystal ball with the faintest hint of amusement. "Keep looking." Naruto's reputation at the academy was strange. He attended classes sporadically. He scored poorly on written tests because he found the questions boring, not because he didn't know the answers. His taijutsu scores were mediocre because he never actually tried during spars. His ninjutsu scores were non-existent because he refused to demonstrate jutsu during evaluations, claiming he didn't want to spoil the surprise. The teachers didn't know what to do with him. He wasn't disruptive like a problem child. He wasn't defiant like a rebel. He just existed on a different wavelength. He'd sit in the back of the class with that massive glowing book floating next to his desk, pages turning on their own, and he'd stare out the window with a dreamy smile. Uzumaki. What is the hand sign sequence for the water clone technique? Tiger, boar, ox, dog, Naruto answered without looking away from the window. But the sequence is inefficient. If you substitute the ox for a ram and reverse the polarity of the chakra spin during the dog seal, you reduce the water volume required by 30% and the clone lasts twice as long. Iruka blinked. That's not in the curriculum. I know, that's why I mentioned it. Naruto finally turned to face his teacher, beaming. Isn't chakra fascinating, Iruka-sensei? Iruka opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Just pay attention to the lesson, Naruto. I always am, Naruto said warmly, and he meant it. Every lesson, every demonstration, every scrap of jutsu theory that passed through that classroom went straight into his brain like fuel into a fire. He absorbed everything, not because he needed to learn it, because he loved to. The other students didn't know what to make of him either. He wasn't the dead last they expected. He wasn't the class clown. He was something else, something that didn't fit any category. Sasuke Uchiha watched him sometimes. The boy with the floating book who scored at the bottom but spoke like he understood everything. It irritated him in ways he couldn't articulate. Inside the seal, Kurama had expected many things from his new container. He'd expected rage, desperation, loneliness festering into hatred. He'd expected a weapon waiting to be forged, a vessel primed for his influence. What he got was this. Hey, Kurama, I have a question. The massive fox opened one eye. The blonde boy was standing in the ankle-deep water of the seal's mindscape, practically vibrating with energy, that accursed floating book beside him. Go away. The tailed beast bomb. I've read every account of it I could find. The compression ratio between positive black chakra and negative white chakra, is it fixed or variable? Because if it's variable, the blast radius calculations would be completely different from what's recorded in the historical scrolls, and I think the third Raikage's durability makes way more sense if the bombs he tanked were at lower compression. I said go away. Also, the molecular structure. When you compress chakra to that density, does it undergo a phase transition? Like, is there a point where it stops being energy and starts behaving like matter? Because that would explain why tailed beast bombs leave craters instead of just producing explosive force. Boy. Naruto stopped talking. His eyes were sparkling like twin galaxies. He had a notebook open. He was ready to write. Kurama stared at this child, this bizarre, impossible child who stood before the most feared being in existence and felt nothing but academic curiosity. You are the strangest human I have ever been sealed inside, the fox growled. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. I choose to take it as one. Naruto tapped his pen against his notebook. So about that phase transition. Variable compression, Kurama snapped, just to make him stop talking. It's variable. The ratio determines yield. Now leave. Naruto's face lit up like the sun itself. I knew it! Oh, this changes everything. The third Raikage wasn't just tough, he specifically tanked low-yield bombs at maximum velocity. It wasn't about durability at all. It was about the angle of. He kept talking for 3 hours. Kurama tried to ignore him, then tried to drown him out with killing intent, then tried to simply go back to sleep. None of it worked. Eventually, against every instinct, against every century of accumulated hatred, Kurama started answering questions. Not out of kindness, out of self-preservation. Because this boy would not stop asking them, and the only way to make him move on to the next topic was to satisfy the current one. And if some small, buried part of the nine-tailed fox found the boy's enthusiasm slightly less irritating than everything else in existence, well, no one needed to know that. Naruto graduated from the academy on a Tuesday, not because he'd suddenly decided to try. Because the Hokage had personally informed him that Jinin got access to the mission archives, which contained detailed reports on jutsu encountered in the field, Naruto broke 3 records getting to the graduation exam the next morning. His written test was perfect. His taijutsu demonstration was flawless, though his style was strange, incorporating time delays into his movements that made his attacks arrive either faster or later than opponents expected, creating an eerie rhythm that no one could match. His ninjutsu portion consisted of producing a single shadow clone, but not a normal shadow clone. The clone stood beside Naruto, smiling, and didn't dispel. Iruka pressed his chakra, sensing to the limit, and couldn't tell which one was real. Both had identical signatures. Both had identical physical presence. Both existed with equal permanence. Which one is the clone? Iruka asked. Both Naruto shrugged simultaneously. Does it matter? It didn't. He passed. When they gave him the headband, he held it up to the light and studied the metal plate with intense focus. The Konoha symbol, a leaf in a spiral. The metallic alloy is iron nickel with a chakra-conductive coating. Fascinating. The forging technique must date back to the second Hokage's standardization reforms. Naruto, just put it on. Right, sorry. He tied it around his forehead, grinning so wide his eyes crinkled shut. Not because of what it represented in terms of recognition. Not because it proved his worth to a village that had scorned him, but because it was his ticket to a library of jutsu he hadn't read yet. The Wizard King was loose in Konoha, and nobody knew what was coming. Team assignments came on a warm morning that smelled like cherry blossoms and possibility. Naruto sat in his usual back row seat, grimoire floating lazily beside him, pages turning with a soft golden glow. He was sketching something in his notebook, diagrams, circles, temporal equations that would have made the Nara clan's best minds weep. Team 7, Iruka announced. Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto looked up. His pen stopped. Sasuke Uchiha, the last loyal Uchiha, possessor of the Sharingan bloodline, a dojutsu that tracked movement, predicted attacks, copied techniques, and cast genjutsu through eye contact alone. Naruto's eyes went wide, then wider, then achieved a luminosity that should not have been humanly possible. The Sharingan, he whispered reverently. I'm going to be on a team with the Sharingan. Sasuke, 3 rows ahead, felt a chill run down his spine for reasons he couldn't explain. Their Jonin instructor was late. 3 hours late. Sakura complained. Sasuke brooded. Naruto had set up what appeared to be a small research station at his desk, with the grimoire open to a specific page, 3 notebooks arrayed around him, and a pair of homemade chakra measuring instruments he'd built from scavenged parts. What are you doing? Sakura asked, equal parts confused and annoyed. Preparing, Naruto said happily. For what? Our sensei is Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja, the man who's memorized over 1,000 jutsu. 1,000 jutsu, Sakura. That's a library on legs. I need to be ready. Sakura stared. Ready to fight him? Ready to ask him questions. The door opened. A man with silver hair, a mask, and one visible eye that radiated casual boredom stepped in. My first impression of you all, Kakashi began. Naruto was already in front of him, The grimoire was glowing. His eyes were full of stars. Kakashi-sensei, your Sharingan! I know you keep it covered because of the chakra drain, but the specifics of how a non-Uchiha body interacts with an implanted dojutsu are undocumented in any public scroll. Does your Tenketsu network route differently around the eye socket? Do you experience temporal displacement in your visual processing between the regular eye and the Sharingan? Is there a latency diff? Kakashi stared down at the 12-year-old who had somehow covered the distance between the desk and the door faster than his eye tracked. Meet me on the roof, he said, and body flickered away. Naruto beamed. He didn't say no. The rooftop introductions were brief. Kakashi gave his standard deflection. Sakura gave her standard Sasuke-centric answer. Sasuke gave his standard vengeance-driven answer. Naruto's turn came. He sat cross-legged, the grimoire orbiting him in a slow, lazy circle, and he spoke with a warmth that didn't match any dead-last profile Kakashi had been given. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like jutsu. All of them. Every type, every style, every element, every bloodline application. I like understanding how things work. I like watching people use their unique abilities and seeing the beauty in what makes each person different. I dislike people who destroy potential, who crush uniqueness, who view others as tools or experiments. His eyes went briefly sharp, just a flash before the warmth returned. My dream is to become Hokage. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. And why is that? Naruto's grin went nuclear. Because the Hokage gets access to all the secret jutsu scrolls in the village vault. Dead silence. That's your reason? Sakura said. Every single classified technique from every clan, every era, every war, S-rank jutsu, forbidden jutsu, sealing techniques from the Uzumaki archives, Tobirama's original research notes, Hashirama's wood-style analysis, all of it, in one room, waiting for someone with clearance to read it. Naruto was practically vibrating. I will become Hokage, and I will read every single page. Kakashi stared at this child for a long time. His file said dead last. His file said orphan Jinchuriki with no special skills. His file said potential flight risk due to social isolation. His file said nothing about the floating book of pure energy, nothing about the strange light in those blue eyes, nothing about the way the air around the boy seemed to shimmer like time itself was holding its breath. Tomorrow morning, Kakashi said. Training ground 7, survival test, don't eat breakfast. He vanished. Naruto was already writing in his notebook. Body flicker variant. Leaf Shunshin. The chakra dispersal pattern suggested he went northeast. Speed indicates supplementary wind element augmentation. Fascinating. I need to measure the residual. Is he always like this? Sakura whispered to Sasuke. Sasuke didn't answer. He was watching Naruto with narrowed eyes. The floating book, the strange energy, the way the boy moved. Something about Naruto Uzumaki didn't add up. And Sasuke hated things that didn't add up. Training ground 7, dawn, morning mist clinging to the grass, 2 bells hanging from Kakashi's waist, the standard explanation delivered with standard disinterest. Come at me with intent to kill, Kakashi said, or you won't get a bell. Sakura tensed. Sasuke's Sharingan hadn't awakened yet, but his body coiled with trained precision. Both of them planned their approaches, calculated angles, considered strategy. Naruto stood in the open, grimoire floating beside him, and he raised his hand like a student in class. Sensei, quick question before we start. Kakashi's visible eye regarded him lazily. Yes? When you use the Sharingan to copy a jutsu, does it record the chakra pattern as a static image or as a dynamic sequence? Because the implications for memory storage in the visual cortex are completely different depending on. Naruto, the test has started. Right, okay, sorry. Naruto clapped his hands together, still smiling. I'll get my answer after then. Kakashi decided to end this quickly. The blonde seemed distracted, unfocused, the weakest link. He'd neutralize him first, then deal with the Uchiha. Standard approach for the weakest member of Kakashi moved. One moment he was standing in the clearing. The next, he burst from the shadows behind Naruto at full Jonin speed, hand reaching for the collar of the boy's jacket to demonstrate the gap in their abilities. A simple grab, a simple lesson. His hand never made contact. Kakashi's body stopped. Every muscle, every nerve, every fiber of his being halted as if the universe itself had reached down and pressed pause. He hung in midair, lunging forward, one hand extended, his visible eye wide. He could not move. He could not breathe. He could not blink. but he could think. His mind raced at full speed while his body existed in perfect, absolute stillness. He was conscious, aware, and completely trapped. Around him, a sphere of blue-white light shimmered into visibility. A perfect globe, roughly 10 feet in diameter, centered on his frozen form. Inside it, nothing moved. Not air molecules, not light particles, not time itself. Kakashi's mind, trained through 1,000 battles, through ambush service, through war, processed what was happening with growing horror. This wasn't genjutsu. His chakra wasn't disrupted. This wasn't paralysis. His muscles weren't locked. This was something else. Something that operated on a level he had never encountered. Time had stopped. For him and only him. Naruto Uzumaki walked out of the tree line. The grimoire floated beside him, its pages turning rapidly, glowing with golden blue light. His eyes were not threatening. They were not cold. They were wide, sparkling, filled with pure unbridled wonder. He walked right up to the sphere, right up to the frozen Kakashi. And he leaned in close, staring at the covered eye. "Wow!" Naruto breathed. "Is that the Sharingan? It's so beautiful. How does the optic nerve handle the kinetic tracking? Can I poke it?" He circled Kakashi, his notebook out, scribbling furiously. He sketched the way Kakashi's chakra was distributed during the body flicker. He noted the muscle engagement pattern frozen mid-stride. He measured the angle of approach and calculated the expected force of impact. "Your speed is incredible, Sensei. The chakra augmentation to your legs creates a compound acceleration effect. And the way you mask your presence before striking, it's not just suppression, is it? You actually redirect your chakra signature behind you as you move forward, creating a phantom trail. That's genius. That's absolute genius." He reached down and casually plucked both bells from Kakashi's frozen waist, held them up, jingled them. Then he jotted down one more note. "Okay, I think I have enough data for now. Let me just..." He snapped his fingers. Time resumed. Kakashi stumbled forward, his momentum suddenly restored, and hit the ground on his hands and knees. His heart slammed against his ribs. Cold sweat drenched his entire body. His hands shook. He'd been in Anbu. He'd fought in war. He'd watched Obito die. He'd killed with his own lightning. None of it, prepared him for the sensation of existing in a moment that would not move forward, of being conscious inside stopped time, of feeling eternity compressed into a single frozen instant. He looked up. Naruto stood there, bells dangling from one hand, notebook in the other, smiling like a kid who'd just been given a new toy. "Sensei, your chakra distribution is amazing. I have so many questions. But first," he held up the bells. "Does this mean we pass?" Behind him, Sakura and Sasuke stood at the tree line, frozen, not by time magic, by shock. Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja, the man who had never passed a single Genin team, slowly rose to his feet. His hands were still shaking. His mind was still replaying the sensation of existing inside a frozen moment. He looked at Naruto Uzumaki, really looked, past the smile, past the goofy energy, past the floating book and the sparkly eyes, and for the first time since the fourth Hokage died, Kakashi felt something he hadn't felt in 12 years. Out of his depth. "You all pass," he said. Naruto pumped his fist. "Yes! Now about that Sharingan question." "Not today. Tomorrow? We'll see." "I'll take that as a yes." Kakashi's body flickered away before the boy could ask another question. He went straight to the Hokage's office. He did not stop for his book. He did not stop for anything. When he arrived, he was still shaking. "Lord Third," he said, "we need to talk about Naruto Uzumaki." Hiruzen puffed his pipe. "I know. What is he?" The old Hokage was silent for a long time. Then, "I don't know, but I think we're about to find out." Team 7's first weeks together established a dynamic no one expected. Sasuke trained relentlessly, driven by a new irritation. Not just Itachi. Now there was the blonde idiot. Except Naruto wasn't an idiot, and Sasuke was smart enough to recognize that. The boy had frozen a Jonin in place. A Jonin. Without hand signs, without effort, without even treating it as a fight. It burned. It burned worse than anything since that night. "Spar with me," Sasuke demanded one afternoon. Naruto looked up from his notebook, where he was sketching the chakra flow patterns of a caterpillar building a cocoon. "Oh, sure." They squared off. Sasuke attacked immediately, channeling every hour of training into a flurry of strikes that would have overwhelmed any other Genin. Naruto dodged. But not normally. Each dodge came at the last possible instant, with a precision that shouldn't have been achievable, as if he was seeing Sasuke's attacks arrive in slow motion. "Your taijutsu is beautiful," Naruto said mid-dodge, his eyes sparkling. "The Uchiha Interceptor style, the way it's designed to work with predictive vision, you're pre-building the muscle memory for when your Sharingan awakens. That's so clever. The whole style is designed to be completed by the Dojutsu." Sasuke's spinning kick passed through empty air as Naruto leaned back at an impossible angle. "Do you ever fight back?" Sasuke snarled. Naruto tilted his head. "Do you want me to?" "Yes," Naruto smiled. It was warm, not mocking. "Okay, but just one." He raised a single finger, tapped it against Sasuke's forehead. Sasuke went to dodge, but his body wouldn't move. Not stopped, just delayed. Like the signal from his brain arrived at his muscles half a second late. By the time his body responded, Naruto's finger was already touching his skin. The lightest tap, barely any force. Sasuke felt the world lurch. For one single heartbeat, he was 6 years old again, sitting on a porch, and Itachi's finger was pressing against his forehead, and the world hadn't ended yet. Then it passed, and he was back in the training field, and Naruto was smiling at him with something too knowing in his eyes. "You have incredible potential, Sasuke," Naruto said softly. "The kind that takes time to bloom. Don't rush it." Sasuke swallowed the lump in his throat, looked away, felt furious and confused, and something else he refused to name. "Again?" he said. "Okay." They sparred for 3 more hours. Naruto never attacked again. Just dodged, observed, and occasionally called out corrections to Sasuke's form with the enthusiasm of someone watching their favorite show. Sakura, watching from the sideline, realized something that afternoon. Naruto wasn't just strong. He was operating in a completely different dimension of existence, and somehow, impossibly, that made him the kindest person she'd ever met. The mission to the Land of Waves began like any other escort. A grumpy old bridge builder. A road stretching east. Team 7 walking in formation. Naruto wasn't in formation. He was crouched by the side of the road, examining a puddle that hadn't rained in 3 days. "Sensei," he called out cheerfully, "these water molecules are arranged in a chakra-sustained hydrogen bond matrix. Someone's hiding in this puddle." Kakashi, who had been planning to use the hidden enemies as a test for his students, sighed deeply. The demon brothers erupted from the puddle. Chains flew. Metal shrieked toward Naruto's exposed back. Naruto didn't turn around. He waved a hand. The chain stopped, hung in the air, 2 feet from his body. The demon brothers dangled from the other end, their feet off the ground, trapped in the forward momentum of an attack that would never complete. Water concealment combined with chain weaponry, Naruto observed, walking down the length of the frozen chains to inspect the brothers' mechanical gauntlets. The mechanism uses chakra-conductive iron for the links, allowing you to channel techniques through the chain itself. "That's really creative. Did you design these yourselves?" The brothers couldn't answer. Their mouths were frozen. Naruto took out his notebook, sketched the gauntlets from 3 angles, then released the time hold. Both brothers collapsed in a heap, terrified out of their minds. Kakashi tied them up without comment. He'd stopped being surprised. He decided to just document everything and let the Hokage sort it out. The mist came without warning. They were on the bridge, Tazuna's bridge, half-built and hanging over gray water, when the air turned white. Dense, impenetrable fog rolled in from everywhere at once, reducing visibility to nothing. The temperature dropped. Sound deadened. Every shinobi's instinct screamed danger. The hidden mist technique came a voice from everywhere and nowhere. Deep, gravelly, amused. 8 targets. Kidneys, liver, lungs, spine, jugular, subclavian artery, brain, heart. So many places to cut. Sakura shivered. Sasuke drew a kunai, his eyes scanning uselessly through the white void. Kakashi's Sharingan spun behind his lifted headband, searching for movement, finding none. Naruto stood perfectly still in the center of the mist. His grimoire materialized beside him, pages turning, and his eyes went wide with delight. A localized atmospheric manipulation. Amazing! He held out his hand, fingers splayed. His smile never wavered. The water molecules are suspended in a chakra-infused thermal buffer, creating a fog with impossible density at these temperatures. The particle size is uniform, which means it's maintained by a continuous output. Beautiful technique, truly beautiful. He snapped his fingers. It wasn't a jutsu. It wasn't a hand sign. It was intent given form. Time accelerated around every water particle in the mist. Not a gentle acceleration. 100 years compressed into a single second. The moisture aged, evaporated, ceased to exist, not dispersed, erased. As if the mist had lived its entire natural lifespan in the span of a heartbeat and faded like everything eventually fades. The fog vanished. In one instant, the bridge went from impenetrable white to crystal clear visibility. Tazuna gasped. Sakura's eyes went wide. Kakashi's Sharingan tracked the impossible dispersal pattern with growing disbelief. And there, standing 40 feet away on the bridge railing, was Zabuza Momochi, former 7th Swordsman of the Mist, missing Nin, demon of the hidden mist. His bandaged face showed visible shock. His technique hadn't been disrupted or countered. It had been removed from existence, as if it had never been. What the hell? Zabuza breathed. Naruto turned to face him, still beaming. Your technique is incredible. The chakra efficiency alone, you maintain that density over a 100-meter radius with minimal output. That's S-rank control disguised as a B-rank jutsu. I have so many questions. But Zabuza moved. Whatever this kid was, whatever that was, he didn't care. He was the demon of the mist. He was Zabuza Momochi. He crossed the distance in a flash, the executioner's blade, screaming through the air in a horizontal arc that would bisect the blonde child at the waist. The blade stopped. Naruto had raised 2 fingers, index and middle, pressed together. The flat of the massive Zanbato rested between them, its full momentum arrested. No shockwave, no displacement, no sound of impact. Because there was no impact. The kinetic energy simply wasn't there anymore, held in stasis between 2 small fingers and an impossible will. Zabuza's arms shook. He pushed. Nothing. Pulled. Nothing. The sword was caught in something that made physical strength irrelevant. Naruto inspected the blade between his fingers with fascination. The executioner's blade. It's made from high-carbon chakra steel with a self-repair function powered by iron-rich blood. That's why it never chips. It's always consuming trace metals from its victims to maintain its edge. That's horrifying and brilliant. Zabuza ripped backward, abandoning his sword in Naruto's temporal grip. He flew through hand signs. Water dragon. Naruto waggled a finger. Ah. Zabuza's hands froze mid-seal. His body halted. Another sphere of shimmering chronosphere surrounded him, locking him in a moment that would not pass. Naruto walked over and gently extracted the executioner's blade from where it hung in the air. He set it on the ground, then pulled out his notebook and started sketching Zabuza's hand position. Water dragon technique. Tiger, ox, monkey, rabbit, ram, boar, ox, horse, bird, rat, tiger. No, wait, is it bird before rat or rat before bird? I can never remember. Sensei, do you know? Kakashi's left eye twitched. Naruto, yes? You just stopped Zabuza Momochi. An A-rank missing nin. He's really strong. His chakra density is incredible. Also, his sword is amazing. Can I keep it? No. Darn. Kakashi rubbed his face. This was his life now. Naruto released Zabuza after 15 minutes, during which he took comprehensive notes on the man's weapon, fighting stance, and chakra nature. Zabuza dropped to the bridge deck gasping, eyes wild, and immediately retreated with a body flicker before anyone could stop him. He'll be back, Kakashi said grimly. I hope so, Naruto said. I didn't get to ask about the silent killing technique's proprioceptive dampening mechanism. Kakashi stared at his student. You do realize he's trying to kill our client? Oh, right. Naruto looked mildly sheepish. That's bad. Yes, but his jutsu are so cool. Naruto. Fine, I'll prioritize keeping Tazuna alive. But if Zabuza comes back, I'm asking him at least 3 questions. Zabuza came back a week later, and he brought Haku. The rematch began on the unfinished bridge, morning fog rolling in naturally this time. Zabuza faced Kakashi. Haku faced Sasuke and Sakura. The battle lines were drawn. Naruto stood between both conflicts, grimoire floating beside him, watching with barely contained excitement. Because Haku's technique, the ice mirrors formed. A dome of crystalline ice materialized around Sasuke in the span of a breath. Perfect flat surfaces, each one reflecting Haku's image from within. The masked ninja stepped into a mirror and became everywhere at once, moving at speeds that turned him into a blur of reflected images. Senbon flew. Dozens, hundreds from every angle simultaneously. Sasuke couldn't track them, couldn't dodge them, couldn't defend. Needles pierced his arms, his legs, his shoulders. Blood spattered across ice. Naruto's eyes went wide, not with concern, with awe. Ice release, he whispered. A simultaneous water-wind Kekkei Genkai creating a unique phase transition element. The mirrors aren't just ice, they're spatial anchors. She's using the reflective surface as a transportation medium, folding the distance between mirrors to achieve apparent super speed. It's not speed at all, it's spatial compression through crystalline lattice refraction. He was practically vibrating. Sasuke fell to one knee, riddled with needles, gritting his teeth. Naruto, a little help! Naruto blinked, looked at Sasuke, looked at the mirrors, looked at the needles. Oh, right! He stepped into the dome, simply walked between two mirrors as if the barrier wasn't there. Haku launched a barrage from 3 angles, Senbon converging on Naruto from both sides and above. Naruto smiled warmly. Chronostasis. The word left his mouth and the world answered. Every needle stopped, hundreds of them, frozen in mid-flight, hanging in the air like deadly rain that forgot how to fall. They formed a constellation of frozen death around Naruto, each one caught in its own individual bubble of stopped time. The silence was absolute. Naruto walked through the field of frozen needles. He reached up and plucked one from the air, examining it between his fingers, rotated it, studied the metal composition, the precise balance point, the thin coating of ice chakra that still clung to its surface. The chakra adhesion is incredible, he murmured. You coat each needle with a thin film of ice-natured chakra that both guides its trajectory and increases penetration. The precision required to apply that coating to hundreds of projectiles simultaneously while maintaining spatial transportation. He looked up at Haku's mirror, his eyes sparkling. You're a genius. Haku stared down from within the ice. No one had ever walked through the mirrors before. No one had ever stopped the needles. No one had ever looked at the technique meant to kill them and called it genius. Naruto walked through the suspended Senbon field until he stood directly beneath one of the mirrors. He could see Haku's masked face within it. Come out, he said gently. I want to talk to you. I cannot, Haku said. I must protect Zabuza. I must fight. You're exhausted, Naruto observed. Your chakra is dropping. The mirrors are getting thinner. I can see the lattice degradation. You've been maintaining this for too long. Haku's hands trembled. He was right. She was fading. But she would fight until she broke because that was all she had. Zabuza's tool, Zabuza's weapon, that was her purpose. Naruto raised his hand and pressed his palm flat against the mirror's surface. Chrono reversal. Golden light flowed from his palm into the ice. It spread through the mirror like sunrise, warm and impossibly gentle. Haku felt it touch her chakra and gasped. The exhaustion was flowing away, not masked or suppressed, undone, her reserves refilling as if the last hour of combat had never happened. Her strained muscles unknotting, her microfractures healing. Naruto was rewinding the time on her body, giving back what the fight had taken. What are you? Haku stumbled out of the mirror, landing on the bridge deck in front of Naruto. Her mask had cracked. Her eyes were wide and young and terrified. Naruto looked at her. He saw the ice in her blood, the beauty of a bloodline that her country had tried to murder her for. He saw the loneliness, the desperation, the love for a master who called her a tool. He tapped her forehead, softly, like a brother. You're not a weapon, he said. You're a person, and your ability is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Come to Konoha with us. I want to study your ice so badly, and you deserve a home that doesn't want you dead for what you are. Haku's eyes filled with tears. Behind them, the battle between Kakashi and Zabuza had reached its climax. Kakashi had his lightning blade aimed at Zabuza's heart, the arc of killing intent clear. Naruto's head turned. His eyes shifted. Sensei, don't! Kakashi hesitated. The lightning crackled in his hand. He's beaten, Naruto said. And Haku needs him alive. They're coming home with us. Kakashi looked at his student. At the impossible boy with the glowing book and the ancient eyes. At the genin who had frozen time, stopped death in midair, and healed an enemy with a touch. He pulled back. Zabuza collapsed, half dead from blood loss and exhaustion. You're insane, kid! Zabuza rasped from the ground. Probably, Naruto agreed cheerfully, but your sword is amazing, so you should definitely come to Konoha and let me study it. Zabuza, through blood and pain and the remnants of his warrior's pride, laughed. A real laugh. The kind that hurts in the chest because it's been buried too long. The bridge was completed 3 days later. They named it the Great Naruto Bridge. Naruto insisted they name the support structures too. The return to Konoha changed things. Word spread. Whispers in the Jonin lounge, murmurs in the Anbu ranks, reports filtering up to the council. The Uzumaki boy did something impossible on the wave mission. He stopped time. He healed an enemy by reversing their injuries. He caught a swordsman's blade between two fingers. The whispers reached everyone. The clan heads, the elders, Danzo Shimura sitting in his shadowed office with his one visible eye narrowing to a slit. Time manipulation, Danzo murmured to his root operative. A Kekkei Genkai of this magnitude has never been documented, and the boy carries the 9 tails. His bandaged hand tightened on his cane. Monitor him, every moment. I want to know what he can do, what he can't do, and what would make him useful. The root operative vanished. Naruto, completely unaware and entirely unconcerned, was at Ichiraku Ramen celebrating their return by ordering one of everything. The new pork miso is incredible, old man, he called to Tucci. Did you change the broth simmering time? The collagen extraction is way more thorough than last month. How do you know that from taste alone? Tucci laughed. I can feel the molecular age of the proteins on my tongue. Tucci blinked. I'm going to pretend I understood that and just make you another bowl. The Chunin exams arrived with the changing of seasons. Konoha filled with foreign shinobi. Jonin from every major village poured through the gates, each carrying their village's pride and ambition. Sand, sound, rain, grass, waterfall. Naruto was vibrating. New bloodlines, he said to Sasuke and Sakura, his voice a barely contained squeal. New jutsu, new fighting styles from different training doctrines, different elemental compositions based on regional chakra environments. This is the best day of my life. You say that every day, Sasuke muttered. Because it's true every day. The first exam was written, a test of information gathering disguised as a written exam. Naruto completed it in 4 minutes flat, not by cheating, but by actually knowing every answer. The proctor stared. Ibiki Morino, the scarred head of torture and interrogation, watched the blonde boy from the front of the room. He'd heard the reports, seen the mission files, and still, watching the kid casually write correct answers to questions designed to be unanswerable, a thin bead of sweat ran down Ibiki's neck. The 10th question came. Ibiki's famous ultimatum. Quit or risk losing your career. Naruto raised his hand. Ibiki's heart lurched. Was the boy folding? What? Can I ask a question about question 7? What? The strategic deployment problem. You listed 3 terrain types, but you didn't specify whether the forest section accounts for canopy density differentials, because the answer changes drastically if the canopy is over 70% coverage, and I want to make sure my answer accounts for... Sit down. But sit down. Naruto sat. He looked genuinely put out. It's an important variable, he mumbled. Nobody quit that year. The 10th question never came, because Ibiki had already seen enough. The forest of death was where everything changed. 3 days in the wilderness. Survive. Acquire both scrolls. Reach the tower. Simple rules. Team 7 moved fast. Naruto was in the lead, his grimoire floating beside him, its golden glow suppressed to a dim luminescence. He was happy. The forest was full of strange chakra signatures, unique abilities, genin from foreign lands wielding techniques he'd never seen. They encountered a rain team first. Naruto asked them polite questions about their village's umbrella techniques before Sasuke knocked them out and took their scroll. You could have fought them, Sasuke said, irritated. But I hadn't finished asking about the chakra-conductive oil coating on their umbrellas. It creates a hydrophobic barrier that doubles as a technique amplifier. Sasuke, that's brilliant engineering. Focus. Fine. Then the killing intent hit. It crashed over the forest like a tidal wave. A pressure so thick, so ancient, so utterly wrong that the leaves stopped falling. Animals fled. Smaller genin teams in the surrounding area collapsed unconscious. Sakura fell to her knees, trembling. Sasuke's vision went white. He saw his own death, his body being torn apart, Itachi's eyes, his parents' blood, every fear compressed into a single suffocating instant. Naruto felt it, recognized it, not because it was strong. It was enormously strong. But Naruto had felt killing intent before, from Kurama, from the sealed memory of a wizard king who had faced armies. This was impressive, but it was not overwhelming. What interested him was the mechanism. He stepped forward, placing himself between his teammates and the source. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a small magnifying glass, one he bought from a civilian antique shop, completely non-functional as a ninja tool, but useful for dramatic effect. He held it up to his eye, looking toward the trees where the presence lurked. "Fascinating," he said, his voice carrying clear and bright through the crushing pressure. "A fear-inducing genjutsu based on pure malice. The chakra wavelength is fascinating. It's operating on the amygdala directly through environmental saturation rather than eye contact or auditory trigger. That's a completely unique vector. Teach me." The pressure stuttered, as if the source was surprised. Then Orochimaru emerged from the shadows. He moved like a snake uncoiling, his yellow eyes fixed on the blonde boy who stood in his killing intent like it was a light breeze. Long black hair, pale skin, a smile that belonged on a corpse. My, the Sanin hissed. "What an interesting child. You should be paralyzed." "Why would I be? It's just chakra at an unusual frequency." Naruto's magnifying glass swept over Orochimaru's form. "Your chakra network is extensively modified. Self-surgery? No, body transfer. You've changed vessels multiple times. The cellular degradation is asymmetric." "Fascinating." Orochimaru's smile widened. "You can see all that? I can see the age of your cells. None of them match. It's like looking at a patchwork quilt of different timelines all stitched into one body." Naruto's expression was pure academic interest, no fear, no anger, just wonder. "How did you solve the rejection problem? The immune system alone would." "Enough." Orochimaru's arm extended, stretching like rubber, his body contorting in impossible ways as he summoned something. From the underbrush, a massive serpent exploded upward, its body thick as a house, scales gleaming, mouth open wide enough to swallow the entire team. The snake lunged for Naruto. Naruto lowered his magnifying glass. His expression didn't change. Still interested, still curious. But now there was something else in his eyes. A sharpness that hadn't been there a moment ago. He pointed a single finger at the lunging serpent. Time answered. The snake's biological clock accelerated. Not slowly, not gently. 100 years per second, 1,000. Its scales dulled, its eyes clouded, its muscles atrophied, its flesh withered. In the span of a single blink, the massive serpent aged a millennium. Its body crumbled into dust and bone, collapsing into a heap of ancient remains that disintegrated before they hit the ground. The forest went silent. Orochimaru's smile died. He stared at the pile of dust that had been his summon, then at the boy. The smiling boy with the glowing book and the pointing finger. For the first time in decades, something cold moved through Orochimaru's gut. Not fear, not yet, but the recognition of something dangerous. "What are you?" the Sanin whispered. "Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto said cheerfully. "Genin of Team 7, jutsu enthusiast, and I really do want to know about your body transfer technique." The theoretical implications alone. Orochimaru moved. Fast. Faster than anything should move. His neck stretched, his fangs bared, aiming for Naruto's neck, the curse mark, his gift, his chain. He would claim this boy, whatever he was, turn that power into his instrument. Naruto's demeanor dropped. It happened in less than a heartbeat. The sparkle left his eyes. The warmth bled from his smile. His posture straightened, his shoulders squared, and the air around him changed with such intensity that every living thing within 100 meters felt it. The grimoire blazed open. Its pages turned in a storm of golden light. And Naruto's eyes became something else, something old. Something that had seen the rise and fall of kingdoms, the turn of ages, the weight of crowns. "You experiment on human lives for your own greed," Naruto stated. His voice carried weight, not volume, weight. The kind of weight that pressed against Orochimaru's very existence, that made the Sanin feel small in a way no opponent ever had. "That is unacceptable." Naruto raised his hand. Time magic wrapped around Orochimaru before the Sanin could react, before his fangs could reach skin, before his body could complete its lunge. A sphere of golden blue energy encased the snake Sanin, and within it, time became a weapon. Not stop time, not frozen time, loop time. Orochimaru experienced his own jutsu, the parasitic body transfer technique, the process of cells ripping apart and reconstructing, the agony of DNA rejection, the horror of the soul transfer mechanism eating away at his sense of self, over and over and over. 5 minutes in the real world, an eternity inside the loop. The sphere pulsed with sickly yellow light as Orochimaru screamed inside it. Naruto watched, his expression heavy with the same melancholic authority that had defined a wizard king who loved his people more than power. When Naruto released the technique, Orochimaru hit the ground, shaking, twitching, his eyes blown wide with a terror so deep it had carved new grooves in his psyche. The Sannin looked up at Naruto, and for the first time in his immortal, god-complex life, Orochimaru saw something that made him want to run. A blond boy with ancient eyes, standing in the dappled forest light, a king's grimoire burning beside him like a star. "Leave," Naruto said. Orochimaru left. He didn't walk. He didn't slither. He fled, disappeared into the earth like the snake he was, his mind a shattered mess of repeated agony and the absolute certainty that he had just encountered something beyond his understanding. The killing intent vanished. The forest began to breathe again. Naruto's expression shifted back. The ancient weight lifted. His eyes sparkled. He didn't answer any of my questions. He looked genuinely disappointed. I really wanted to know about the cellular rejection thing. Behind him, Sakura was crying with relief. Sasuke was standing on shaking legs, staring at Naruto with an expression that mixed awe and fear and envy in equal measure. "What was that?" Sasuke managed. Naruto turned, his smile warm and light. "A jutsu nerd showing his displeasure. Want some water? You look pale." They made it to the tower in record time. No one else in the forest came near them. The preliminary rounds took place in the tower's underground arena. One-on-one fights. Elimination format. The genin gathered on the observation balconies while names appeared on the randomized board. Naruto watched every fight with religious intensity. He brought a stack of notebooks. He wore specially crafted observation glasses. His grimoire floated beside him, pages turning in sync with each technique used below. Shino's insects operate on a hive mind chakra network, he gasped during one fight. Each beetle shares a portion of his chakra signature as a communication medium. It's like a living sensor array. Shikamaru's shadow extension uses yin-nature chakra to create a two-dimensional surface-bound medium that interfaces with the physical body through nerve point mapping. He practically fell over the railing. Lee can open gates. The 8-gate system directly overclocks the body's circulatory and nervous systems. The cellular damage accumulation rate versus power output increase follows a geometric curve. Naruto was standing on the railing now, leaning so far forward, Guy had to catch him by the collar. "Your flames of youth burn bright, young one," Guy declared. "Thank you. Now tell me about the 6 gates effect on pain reception." When Naruto's turn came, the board read, Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. Naruto hopped down to the arena floor. His grimoire manifested, floating lazily beside him, its golden glow dimmed to a soft warmth. Kiba grinned, all fangs and confidence. Akamaru barked from atop his head. "Finally! I've been waiting to fight you, Naruto. All that weird floating book stuff doesn't scare me." Naruto tilted his head. "Kiba, your clan's beast mimicry techniques fascinate me. The way you share chakra with Akamaru to create a symbiotic combat system, it's interspecies ninjutsu. Do you know how rare that theoretical framework is? Quit being weird and fight." Kiba launched forward, spinning into fang over fang with Akamaru. Twin drilling spirals of fur and chakra screaming toward Naruto. Naruto snapped his fingers. Kiba and Akamaru froze. Mid-spin. Hovering 3 feet off the ground, rotating in place but going nowhere, caught in a pocket of stopped time. Naruto walked over, circled them, took notes, measured the rotation speed by counting the visible revolutions per the slow time reference frame. The centripetal force generation is maintained by alternating bursts of chakra from core and extremities, he narrated aloud. The claw reinforcement acts as both offensive edge and aerodynamic stabilizer, and Akamaru's contribution creates a binary system that covers each other's blind spots. Beautiful. He closed his notebook, looked up at the proctor. "I win, right? He can't move." The proctor stared. "You, ring out or incapacitation?" "Oh." Naruto turned back to the frozen Kiba. He placed a finger on the spinning shinobi's shoulder and pushed, gently. Like nudging a balloon, Kiba flew out of the arena boundary at precisely the speed needed to exit the ring without causing injury. When time resumed for him, he was lying on the ground outside the designated area, Akamaru whimpering in confusion beside him. "Ring out," the proctor called. Naruto waved at Kiba. Great fight. Let's talk about the beast mimicry later. I have questions about the chakra sharing mechanism. Kiba lay on the ground, staring at the ceiling, trying to process what just happened. Up on the balcony, the Jonin instructors were silent. Kurenai's eyes were wide. Asuma's cigarette had fallen from his lips. Guy was furiously scribbling notes about youth. Kakashi just turned a page in his book and pretended everything was normal. It wasn't. The month between the preliminaries and the finals passed in a blur of training, research, and Naruto sneaking into places he shouldn't be. He infiltrated the Nara compound disguised as a deer, spent 3 hours among the herd, using his time manipulation to communicate with the deer through slowed movement body language. Trying to understand their unique chakra connection to the Nara shadow techniques, he snuck into the Aburame compound as a particularly large beetle. Spent an afternoon riding on Shino's shoulder, listening to the Genin talk to his colonies about strategy. He visited the hospital, disguised as a visiting medic, and observed 17 different healing techniques, filling 4 notebooks with diagrams and theories about medical ninjutsu's time reversal properties. Healing jutsu already use a primitive form of temporal manipulation, he told Kurama one night, pacing in the seal's mindscape. They accelerate cellular regeneration. It's time magic without the caster knowing it's time magic. If I could teach medics to consciously integrate temporal awareness into their healing. Sleep, Kurama growled. But the implications, sleep. Fine. Naruto lay down in the ankle-deep water of the mindscape, then sat up. But what if? I will eat you. Naruto lay back down. He was asleep in seconds, his grimoire dimming above him like a nightlight. Kurama watched the boy sleep and felt something that might have been fondness. He would deny it to his dying breath. The Chunin exam finals arrived with sunlight and stadium roar. The arena filled with spectators from across the fire country. Daimyo, nobles, shinobi from allied villages, civilians hungry for spectacle. In the fighter's box, Naruto bounced on his heels, looking down at the arena with undisguised glee. Today he would see high-level Genin fight at full power. Today he would see techniques reserved for the most intense competition. He barely noticed his own match. When he was called to fight, he walked down to the arena, waved at the crowd with a sunny grin, and his opponent, a sound Genin with sonic-based techniques, lasted approximately 8 seconds. The sound nin had opened his mouth to shout a technique. Naruto had frozen the sound waves mid-propagation, creating a visible wall of compressed air that hung in space like a glass sculpture. Sound manipulation through oral cavity shaping, Naruto observed, walking around the frozen wall of noise. You use your vocal cords as a medium, but the actual damage component is carried by the air pressure differential, not the sound itself. That means you're technically a wind user who... The proctor called the match. Naruto looked up, surprised. Already? But I wanted to. He's unconscious, kid. Naruto looked back. The sound nin had passed out from the sheer terror of watching his attack freeze in mid-air. Oh, whoops. In the Kage box, Hiruzen watched with a mixture of pride and anxiety. Beside him, the Kazekage, who was not the Kazekage, watched with a very different expression. Beneath the disguise, Orochimaru's stolen heart hammered. The blonde boy. That boy was here. That monster in a child's skin, like with his floating book and his ancient eyes, Orochimaru's plans hadn't changed. The invasion would proceed, but his personal involvement would be reconsidered. Then the feathers fell. The genjutsu swept through the stadium. Spectators slumped unconscious. The false Kazekage moved. Anbu clashed with sound operatives. Explosions rocked Konoha's walls. The invasion of Konoha had begun. Sand shinobi poured through breached walls. Sound operatives infiltrated every major structure. The giant snake summons crashed through the village gate, destroying buildings in their wake. Civilians ran screaming. Genin fought desperately. Chunin fell. On the Hokage's rooftop viewing platform, the purple barrier of the Four Flames formation shimmered into existence. 4 sound ninja at its corners, feeding chakra into an impenetrable wall of violet fire. Inside, Orochimaru shed his Kazekage disguise and faced the 3rd Hokage. Hello, Sensei, Orochimaru smiled. Hiruzen's face was grim, old, tired, ready. Below them, Konoha burned, buildings collapsed, a hospital wing crumbled, shinobi bled, children cried. The village that Naruto Uzumaki called home was being torn apart. Naruto was in the arena when the genjutsu hit. He'd felt it coming. the wave of disrupted chakra, the sleep-inducing frequency. He'd negated it passively, his temporal awareness recognizing the altered brainwave pattern and simply refusing to let his consciousness slow. He stood among falling, sleeping bodies. He looked out over the arena walls at the rising smoke, his smile faded. He felt it, all of it, the death, the destruction. The people he'd watched and studied and admired and protected being hurt, being killed. The grimoire blazed open beside him, not dimly, not warmly. It burned like a sun, its pages turning in a hurricane of golden light, each page containing a spell that could reshape reality. Naruto rose into the air, not jumped, not leaped, rose. Gravity became a suggestion as temporal energy lifted him above the stadium, above the rooftops, above the smoke and fire and death. He hung in the sky like a second sun, his golden hair whipping in self-generated wind, his grimoire orbiting him in a wide circle. From up here, he could see everything. The burning buildings, the collapsed walls, the bodies in the streets, the snake summons tearing through the market district, the barrier on the Hokage's roof, purple and malicious, trapping the old man who had always been kind to him. Naruto closed his eyes. When he opened them, they burned with ancient gold. "Time reversal magic," he said. His voice carried, not through volume, through authority, through the weight of a soul that had once governed a kingdom and loved every citizen within it. Chrono Anastasis. The grimoire's pages turned to a specific spread. The energy gathered, not around Naruto, around Konoha. The sky changed. Above the entire village, stretching from wall to wall, a colossal mandala manifested. A clock face made of pure golden light, its numerals ancient, its hands spinning backward. It was massive, impossibly massive, covering the village like a dome of reversed time, visible from miles away. Beautiful and terrible and absolute. Golden light rained down. It fell like snow, like sunlight, like mercy made visible. It touched the burning buildings, and fire retreated into nothingness. It touched the collapsed walls, and stone reassembled, rising from rubble to reform like a recording played in reverse. It touched the wounded, and blood flowed backward. Flesh knit, bones reset, breath returned. A chunin bleeding out in a doorway gasped as his wounds sealed shut. A child trapped under rubble screamed as the debris lifted off her and rebuilt itself above her head. The hospital wing reconstructed around its patients, the market district unburned, the village gate reassembled stone by stone, the entire invasion's damage, every fire, every collapse, every wound, every broken thing, reversed in seconds. Konoha rebuilt itself in golden light while its enemies watched in disbelief. Sand shinobi stopped fighting. Sound operatives froze. The snake summons looked up at the sky and recoiled. Every combatant, ally and enemy alike, stared upward at the clock-faced mandala and the floating figure at its center. A 12-year-old boy with blonde hair and ancient eyes, hanging in the sky like a god, rewriting reality with a thought. The shock rippled through the battlefield. Fighting stopped. Not out of choice, out of inability to comprehend what was happening. The rules of the world had just been violated so thoroughly that combat felt meaningless. "What is that?" whispered a sand jonin, her voice cracking. "The Kyubi Jinchuriki," her commander said, his face white. "That's the Kyubi Jinchuriki." Below in the streets, Konoha's shinobi looked up at the golden light, healing their wounds and rebuilding their homes. Some wept, some laughed, some fell to their knees. Naruto descended from the sky. He moved toward the Hokage's roof, toward the purple barrier where Orochimaru faced Hiruzen. The Four Flames formation burned with supposedly impenetrable fire, a barrier that nothing could pass through without being incinerated. Naruto walked into it. The barrier screamed around him. Purple fire lashed at his body and died. Wherever it touched him, its time accelerated to exhaustion. The chakra aged into nothingness before it could burn. He walked through the impenetrable barrier as if it were a curtain, the fire parting around him in a halo of temporal negation. On the other side, Orochimaru and Hiruzen both turned. Hiruzen, mid-battle, staff in hand, breathing hard, saw his surrogate grandson walking through an impossible barrier with the casual grace of someone entering a room. Orochimaru saw his nightmare. Naruto stood on the rooftop beside his Hokage. He looked at the old man, bruised, tired, bleeding from a dozen wounds, and smiled. It was warm. It was gentle. It was full of the love of a child who had been given kindness when no one else would. "You've worked hard, old man. Naruto said. "Let me handle this child." Hiruzen opened his mouth, closed it, looked at the boy whose power had just rewound an entire invasion's worth of damage without breaking a sweat, and for the first time in a very long time, he allowed himself to lean on someone else's strength. "Be careful," was all he said. Naruto turned to face Orochimaru. The Sannin stood rigid, his face a mask of composure that cracked at the edges. Behind him, two figures stood in the purple-lit space. The first Hokage, the second Hokage, brought back by Edo Tensei, impure world reincarnation, their bodies wrong, their eyes empty, controlled by paper tags lodged in their skulls, legends, gods. The founders of Konoha turned into puppets. Naruto looked at them, his expression shifted, not to fear, to sadness, to a deep respectful grief. "You brought them back against their will," he said to Orochimaru. "Use their bodies, their legacy." His voice hardened. "That ends now." He clapped his hands together. The sound was thunder and silence simultaneously. Time magic flowed outward in a targeted pulse, reaching into the reanimated bodies with surgical precision. It found the tags, the anchors holding dead souls to living clay, and it aged them, paper to dust in a heartbeat. The tags crumbled, the bindings shattered. Hashirama and Tobirama's controlled bodies began to glow with golden light as the impure resurrection collapsed. The first Hokage's eyes cleared for a brief moment. He looked at Naruto, this small blonde child with the ancient power, and smiled. The briefest smile. Recognition of something grand. Then both Hokages faded, their souls released. Free, Orochimaru stood alone. No Edo Tensei, no barriers protecting him, no army to hide behind. Just himself and the boy who had already broken him once in the forest and was now looking at him with eyes that held zero mercy. "Run," Naruto said, not with anger, not with malice, with the finality of someone stating a fact. "You can run now, or I can put you back in the loop, your choice." Orochimaru's face contorted. Pride warred with terror. Ambition warred with self-preservation. Self-preservation won. It always did with him. The Sannin melted into the ground. The Four Flames barrier collapsed as its creators felt their masters retreat and followed. The invasion's leadership structure shattered in a single moment. Without Orochimaru, without coordination, without purpose, the remaining invaders broke. Sand shinobi surrendered, sound operatives fled. The snake summons dispersed. Konoha's invasion lasted 43 minutes. The damage lasted 0 seconds, and above the village, the clock-faced mandala faded from the sky like a dream ending, leaving behind nothing but blue sky and the memory of golden light. The aftermath was chaos of a different kind. The village was intact, miraculously, impossibly intact. Not one building destroyed, not one citizen dead. An invasion that should have scarred Konoha for decades had been undone by a single child's magic. The political implications were staggering. Every village spy who had witnessed the event sent their reports. Every foreign shinobi who had been present carried the story home. Within a week, every major hidden village knew the same truth. Konoha's Jinchuriki could reverse time. The Raikage put his village on alert. The Tsuchikage canceled 3 border provocations. The Mizukage ordered her intelligence division to compile everything known about the Uzumaki child. Akatsuki in their cave moved up their timeline. In Konoha, the council met in emergency session. Danzo demanded control of the boy. The civilian council demanded answers. The clan heads demanded protections. Hiruzen, sitting in his chair with a bandaged arm and a calm expression, said 3 words. "He is mine." Not Konoha's weapon, not a tool, not a resource to be claimed. Mine. In the way a grandfather says mine when speaking of a grandchild, Danzo's single eye burned with thwarted ambition. But even he recognized the impossibility of the play. The boy who could reverse time could not be taken by force, could not be manipulated by fear, could not be controlled by anything short of the divine. So Danzo waited, and planned, and watched. Naruto himself remained frustratingly unchanged. The day after saving the entire village from an invasion, he was found in the Aburame compound, disguised as a beetle, trying to understand the pheromone communication system of the parasitic destruction insects. Shouldn't he be celebrating? Sakura asked Kakashi. Probably. Shouldn't he be receiving commendations, meeting with the council, getting promoted? Probably. Is he seriously inside an ant farm right now? Insect colony. And yes, Kakashi turned the page of his book. That's just who he is, Sakura. He doesn't save the village because he wants recognition. He does it because those are his people and he loves them. And then he goes right back to being the world's most dangerous entomologist. Sakura stared at the insect colony where a suspiciously intelligent beetle was taking notes with tiny legs. I don't know whether to be inspired or terrified. Both, Kakashi said. The answer is always both. Sasuke Uchiha trained alone in Training Ground 7, his fists bloodied against a wooden post. The Chunin exams had shown him many things. Rock Lee's gates, Gaara's sand, Neji's gentle fist, but nothing compared to what Naruto had done, reversing time, healing an entire village, walking through an impenetrable barrier, freeing the dead, driving away a Sannin. Power. Absolute, unquestionable power, the kind Sasuke needed, the kind Itachi had, the kind that made the difference between dying family and living family, and it belonged to the dead last. Sasuke hit the post until his knuckles split, hit it until the wood cracked, hit it until his body screamed. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Not like this. 3 weeks after the invasion, the Sound Four came for Sasuke. They came at night. 4 cursed seal bearers, whispering of power, of Orochimaru's gifts, of potential unlocked. They showed Sasuke their transformations, twisted, monstrous, but undeniably strong. Orochimaru can give you what you need, they said. Power beyond what Konoha offers. Sasuke thought of Naruto, of the floating book, of the ancient eyes, of the hand raised casually to stop time itself. Nothing Orochimaru has matches what I've seen, Sasuke said, but his voice wavered, because what Naruto had wasn't available to him, wasn't learnable, wasn't achievable through training. The curse mark is different, they insisted. It draws from your own potential, your Uchiha blood, your hatred. It completes you. Sasuke stood at his window, looking out at the village that had been rebuilt by golden light. His hands clenched. He left at midnight. Naruto found out at dawn. He was in his apartment, studying a preserved fish's cellular structure through time-reversed decomposition, when Sakura burst through his door in tears. Sasuke left. He's gone. He went to Orochimaru. Naruto set down the fish. His expression didn't change immediately. The sparkle in his eyes didn't fade. It shifted from curiosity to something deeper, something that lived in the bones of his soul, planted there by a lifetime as a king who'd watched good people make terrible choices. I'll bring him back, Naruto said. No hesitation, no drama, no grand declaration. Just fact. Sakura grabbed his sleeve. You don't understand. The Sound Four are with him. They're strong. Shikamaru's taking a team to... I'll handle it, Naruto said gently. He smiled at her, warm, reassuring. The smile of someone who knew exactly what they were going to do and had no doubt about the outcome. He's my teammate, he's my friend, and he's making a mistake that I won't let define his future. He walked out the door, grimoire materializing beside him, pages turning. He didn't run. He walked. Because running implied urgency, and urgency implied doubt. And Naruto Uzumaki did not doubt this. The Valley of the End. 2 stone titans faced each other across a roaring waterfall. Hashirama and Madara, carved into the cliff faces, their eternal battle frozen in rock. Between them, water cascaded into a churning basin that had witnessed the birth of a village and the death of a friendship. Sasuke stood on Madara's head. The curse mark burned across half his body, black flame patterns consuming his skin, reshaping his chakra into something darker. His Sharingan blazed, 3 tomoe in each eye, fully matured, driven to completion by hatred and desperation. He'd beaten the Sound Four himself, hadn't needed them after all, hadn't needed Orochimaru's escort. The curse mark had given him power enough, and his pride demanded he claim it alone. Now he waited, because he knew Naruto would come. The boy who stopped time, the boy who reversed invasions, the boy who looked at the world with starry eyes and saw beauty in everything. The boy who had everything Sasuke wanted without ever struggling for it. Naruto appeared on Hashirama's head. No dramatic entrance, no blur of speed. He was simply there, as if he'd always been there, the grimoire floating beside him with its eternal golden glow. The 2 boys looked at each other across the waterfall. 12 years old, teammates, something like friends. And now, standing on the heads of men who'd fought this exact battle before, separated by the same gap of ideology that had torn the world apart once already. Sasuke, Naruto said. His voice carried over the waterfall without effort. Not loud, just present. Sasuke's curse mark covered face twisted. Don't try to stop me. I'm absolutely going to stop you. You don't understand. Sasuke's chakra flared, the curse mark pulsing, feeding his anger. You, with your impossible power, your floating book, your ability to stop time and reverse reality, you never had to struggle. You never had to watch everyone you love die while you were too weak to do anything. Naruto said nothing. He let Sasuke talk. Itachi is out there, alive, walking free while my clan's blood stains the streets. And I can't even touch him. Not the way I am now. I need more. I need power that doesn't come from some accident of birth or some cosmic lucky draw. Sasuke's Sharingan blazed. The curse mark spread further, webbing across his face, one eye shifting to a sickly yellow. Orochimaru can give me what I need. Orochimaru will take your body and wear it like a suit, Naruto said simply. You know that. You've always known that. I don't care if my body is the price, Sasuke. Naruto's voice was soft. Impossibly soft for the distance between them. Power gained by throwing away your comrades leaves you with no future at all. The words hit. Sasuke flinched, then snarled, covering the flinch with rage. What do you know about having no future? You're the one who can reverse time. You could go back and fix everything. You could save my clan. Could you? Could you? The accusation hung in the air between them, heavier than any killing intent. Naruto closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were sad, old, carrying the weight of a king who had once failed to save the people he loved most. Time moves forward, Sasuke, he said. I can pause it, reverse its effects, accelerate its passage, but I cannot go back. I cannot undo what has already been completed. The moments I reach exist within the flow. The Uchiha massacre happened outside of my reach. Before I had this power, before I even knew what I was. His eyes met Sasuke's. But your future hasn't happened yet. That I can protect. That I will protect. Sasuke's face contorted. Pain, rage, grief. The curse mark surged, covering every inch of his body. Bone-white wings erupted from his back. His skin went ash gray, his Sharingan burning malevolent red in a face that no longer looked human. Curse mark version 2. He dove from Madara's statue, free fall into the basin. His hand crackled with black lightning. Chidori, twisted by the curse mark's power into something darker, more destructive, screaming with the sound of 1,000 dying birds. I'll kill you! Sasuke roared, diving straight for Naruto's chest. Naruto didn't summon his grimoire. He didn't need it for this. He raised a single hand, palm open, facing upward, casual as breathing, time-restraining magic. The words left his mouth with the weight of law, of certainty, of a reality that did not permit debate. Sasuke stopped, mid-dive, mid-scream. The Chidori in his hand ceased to crackle. The lightning became still. His wings froze mid-beat. His curse mark-covered face locked in an expression of rage. Around them, the world followed suit. The waterfall stopped falling. Each droplet hung in space, suspended in the air like a million tiny crystals. The mist froze, the wind died, the sound disappeared. Perfect stillness, absolute silence. Naruto walked forward through the frozen waterfall spray, weaving between hovering droplets. He walked across the water's surface, frozen in time, solid as glass, until he stood directly below Sasuke's suspended form. The boy hung 10 feet above him, Chidori extended inches from where Naruto's chest would have been. The black lightning hung in the air like a fracture in reality. Naruto looked up at Sasuke's frozen face, the rage, the pain, the desperation. He reached up, grasped the collar of Sasuke's shirt, and pulled him down gently, like lifting a kitten from a shelf. The Uchiha's body moved through the air without resistance, his momentum gone, his velocity irrelevant, his attack meaningless against the absolute authority of stop time. Naruto held him at arm's length for a moment, studying the curse mark, the way it twisted Sasuke's chakra pathways, the way it rewrote his body's natural development. A parasite of Orochimaru's design, feeding on hatred, promising power, delivering chains. Naruto placed his hand on the mark, the black flame pattern on Sasuke's neck, the source. Chrono reversal. Golden light flowed from his palm. It entered the curse mark and traveled backward through its timeline, not disrupting it, not sealing it, undoing it, reverting the mark to the moment before it existed, rolling back the clock on Orochimaru's brand until it reached the instant of inception and erased that instant from Sasuke's body. The curse mark faded. The version 2 transformation receded. Ash gray skin became pale again. The wings retracted and dissolved. The dark chakra dispersed like smoke in wind. What was left was just a boy, 12 years old, exhausted, unconscious, still wearing the rage on his face, but without the poison that had fed it. Naruto cradled Sasuke against his shoulder and released the time hold. The world moved again. The waterfall roared. The mist blew. Sound and motion returned to reality. Naruto stood on the water, holding his unconscious teammate, the waterfall thundering behind him, droplets catching light like diamonds in the spray. The grimoire floated beside him, pages turning gently. His expression was soft, fond, the face of someone who knew this wasn't over, that the pain inside Sasuke ran deeper than any curse mark, but who also knew that today, at least, the worst had been averted. "Your potential is incredible, Sasuke," Naruto said softly, his voice lost in the waterfall's roar, but no less real for it. "But you need to learn that time is a gift, not a weapon." He slung the unconscious Uchiha over his shoulder, turned, began walking back toward Konoha. His expression shifted. The ancient weight lifted. The sparkle returned to his eyes. "I wonder if Ichiraku released their new seasonal flavor yet," he mused aloud to no one. Sakura said something about a miso curry fusion. The flavor interaction between fermented soybean paste and curcumin at different temperatures would be fascinating to map. He walked across the water, carrying his friend, talking to himself about ramen science, the grimoire floating beside him like a loyal companion. Behind him, the Valley of the End stood witness to another battle between two boys standing on opposite sides of an ideology. But unlike last time, unlike Hashirama and Madara, this one ended with both boys going home. Konoha's gate appeared in the late afternoon light. Naruto walked through it carrying Sasuke, still talking about ramen, and was immediately surrounded by a dozen concerned shinobi. Sakura ran forward, tears streaming. "Sasuke, is he? He's fine, sleeping. The curse mark is gone, permanently." Naruto handed the unconscious Uchiha to the medics who arrived with a stretcher. "He's going to be grumpy when he wakes up, but he's free." Sakura stared at Naruto, at the casual ease with which he'd solved what should have been an unsolvable problem, at the warmth in his smile, at the complete absence of ego or triumph. "Thank you," she whispered. "He's my teammate." Naruto said it like that explained everything, because for him it did. Kakashi appeared beside him, hands in pockets, visible eye heavy with relief. "You brought him back?" "Of course. Without a scratch on either of you." "Well, I mean, he did try to Chidori me, but it's hard to Chidori someone who controls time." Naruto grinned. "By the way, Sensei, the black Chidori he used, the curse mark altered the lightning's polarity. I've never seen negatively charged Raiton before. The implications for..." "Go eat ramen, Naruto." "But ramen." "Now! You earned it." Naruto's eyes lit up. "You're paying?" Kakashi's eye crinkled. "Just this once." "Yes, Ichiraku, here I come." Naruto sprinted toward the ramen stand with the enthusiasm of a boy who had just been told Christmas came early. Kakashi watched him go. The most dangerous being in the elemental nations, probably. A boy who could stop time, reverse reality, age matter to dust, and heal wounds with a thought. A boy who had saved the village, terrified a Sannin, freed the dead, and brought back a defecting teammate, running to get ramen. Kakashi smiled behind his mask. For the first time in a very long time, he felt something like hope. Sasuke woke 3 days later in the hospital. The first thing he noticed was the absence. The curse mark. That constant burning presence on his neck, whispering of power, feeding his rage, was gone. Not suppressed, not sealed, gone. As if it had never existed. The second thing he noticed was Naruto sitting in the chair beside his bed, grimoire floating above him, sound asleep with a notebook fallen open on his chest. The notebook was filled with diagrams of curse-marked chakra patterns, theoretical counters, and what appeared to be a comprehensive analysis of how Orochimaru's sealing array interfaced with the host's natural Tenketsu network. He'd studied it. Of course he'd studied it. The boy who studied everything had studied the thing eating Sasuke alive, understood it completely, and removed it like it was a splinter. Sasuke stared at the sleeping blonde, the boy who had everything, who could do anything, who smiled at the world like it was a wonder and never seemed to carry the weight of what he was. Something in Sasuke's chest loosened. Not gratitude. Not yet. Something harder to name. Something that had been clenched tight since the massacre, since Itachi, since the world became nothing but vengeance. Relief. He didn't have to carry the curse mark's weight anymore. Didn't have to hear its whispers, didn't have to wonder when it would consume him. "Hey," Sasuke said. Naruto's eyes opened instantly. Alert, bright, blue, and then the sparkle appeared. "Sasuke, you're awake! Great! I have 17 questions about how the curse mark felt from the inside. The chakra integration pattern suggests a symbiotic parasitism that—" "Shut up!" "But the data, thank you." Naruto stopped, blinked, then his smile went wide and warm. Not triumphant, not superior, just happy. "You're welcome." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Naruto opened his notebook. "So about those 17 questions." Sasuke threw his pillow at him. The village moved on, slowly. The invasion's physical damage had been undone by Naruto's magic, but the psychological scars took longer. Alliances were rebuilt. The Sand Village, manipulated by Orochimaru, sent formal apologies and reparations. Treaties were renegotiated. Through it all, Naruto remained Naruto. He was found in the Yamanaka flower shop, using microtemporal acceleration to study the blooming patterns of chakra-infused plants. He was found on the Hokage monument, lying on the fourth's head, reading about ceiling theory while his grimoire floated beside him like a lazy cloud. He was found in 26 places he shouldn't have been, wearing 34 different disguises, asking hundreds of questions about everything from Earth-style chakra conductivity to the Inuzuka clan's canine communication protocol. He was found being himself. And the village slowly began to change around him, not because he forced it, not because he demanded respect or recognition, but because his presence was too big to ignore, too warm to hate, too powerful to dismiss. The civilians who had once whispered about the demon child now whispered about the boy who saved them. The shinobi who had once looked at him with cold eyes now looked at him with something approaching awe. The children who had once avoided him now followed him around, drawn to the warm energy of someone who found everything in the world fascinating. Shikamaru watched with grudging respect. Troublesome. Everything about Naruto was troublesome. But he couldn't deny the magnetic pull. Rock Lee declared Naruto his eternal rival and challenged him to weekly contests. Naruto accepted every one, not to compete, but because Lee's gate openings were the most incredible feat of human physiological manipulation I've ever witnessed. The Konoha 12, as they began to be called, orbited Naruto like planets around a star, not because he demanded it, because he made everyone around him feel seen, studied, appreciated. Every person's unique jutsu, every clan technique, every individual quirk was, in Naruto's eyes, a miracle worth celebrating. And that meant something. In a village of shinobi tools, in a world that valued people for their utility, being seen as a miracle was everything. But the world was not kind, and power, once revealed, attracts those who want it, fear it, or wish to destroy it. In a cave carved into the side of a mountain, 9 silhouettes stood on the fingers of a massive sealed statue. Their projections flickered. Their ringed cloaks hung still in the darkness. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki said, a voice like gravel in ocean depth. His abilities have been confirmed. Time manipulation, another voice, higher, mocking. That's not something that should exist. It doesn't matter what should exist. It matters what does. The leader's ringed eyes glowed purple in the darkness. He reversed the damage of an entire village invasion. He drove away Orochimaru. He freed Edo Tensei's summons. This is not a child playing at being strong. This is a fundamental threat to our plan. Then we accelerate the timeline. No, we adapt it. The Jinchuriki will be taken, but not yet. Not until we understand the full extent of what he can do. The ringed eyes swept across the assembled projections. Observe, report, and when the time comes, we move together. All of us. Naruto was sitting on the roof of Ichiraku Ramen, his grimoire beside him, staring up at the stars with the contentment of someone who had found exactly where they belonged. His village, his people, his home. He pulled out his notebook and sketched the star patterns above Konoha, calculating the axial tilt of the planet based on stellar positioning. His mind wandered to Sasuke, recovering, to Sakura, growing, to Kakashi, teaching, to Hiruzen, leading, to Kurama, grumbling, to all the jutsu in the world he hadn't seen yet. So much to learn, he murmured, his smile stretching ear to ear in the starlight. So many amazing people doing amazing things. His grimoire's pages turned, catching the moonlight, glowing soft gold, a king's instrument, a scholar's dream, a protector's weapon. Naruto Uzumaki lay back on the roof and closed his eyes, dreaming of tomorrow's discoveries. The morning after Sasuke's return, Naruto received a summons to the Hokage's office. He arrived disguised as a mailman because he'd been testing a new variant of his transformation that replicated scent as well as appearance, and he wanted to see if the Anbu at the tower entrance would catch it. They didn't. "Naruto," Hiruzen said, not looking up from his desk. "I know it's you. Please drop the disguise." Naruto popped back to normal, grinning sheepishly. "The scent replication still works. Even the Inuzuka trained guards didn't notice. I noticed because you're the only mailman who arrives with a floating golden book." Naruto looked at his grimoire, which had not transformed with him. It floated beside his disguised form with complete indifference to stealth. "I really need to figure out how to hide you," he told it. The pages turned smugly. Hiruzen set down his pen and looked at Naruto with the full weight of his years. "Sit down. We need to talk about what comes next." Naruto sat. His expression shifted, not to the ancient seriousness that appeared in battle, but to a focused attention that showed the third Hokage this boy was capable of gravity when the moment demanded it. "The invasion revealed your abilities to the world," Hiruzen said. "Every village knows what you did, what you can do. Some will be afraid, some will be curious. Some will want you for themselves, and some," his eyes hardened, "some will want you removed." Naruto nodded. "Akatsuki." Hiruzen's pipe froze halfway to his mouth. "You know about them?" "And I know people who hunt Jinchuriki exist," Kurama told me. Naruto's smile was gentle but knowing. "He's been hunted before. He knows the signs. Red clouds on black cloaks, matching rings, S-rank missing nin working in pairs." The Hokage studied his surrogate grandson. The boy knew more than his file suggested. Far more. "Then you know the danger." "I know they'll come eventually." Naruto leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "But I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about the people they might use to get to me. Sasuke, Sakura, you, anyone I care about." Hiruzen heard the echo of something ancient in those words. A king's concern, a leader's burden. "I'm assigning you a training period," the Hokage said. "Jiraiya has agreed to take you on the road, to prepare you for what's coming, to help you grow into—" "Jiraiya?" Naruto's eyes went nova. "The Jiraiya? The Toad Sage? Author of the advanced sealing methodology text that formed the basis of modern barrier ninjutsu? The man who studied under the third Hokage and created a nature transformation synthesis technique that— Yes! That Jiraiya. When can I meet him?" Hiruzen smiled. This was still Naruto. Always Naruto. No matter how powerful, no matter how ancient the soul within, the core never changed. The love of jutsu, the love of learning, the love of people and their extraordinary capabilities. "He'll find you when he's ready," Hiruzen said. Naruto vibrated in his seat. "I have 400 questions prepared." "I'm sure you do." Jiraiya found Naruto 3 days later, peeping at the women's bath. Wait. No, he found Naruto at the women's bath, but the boy wasn't peeping. He was crouched behind the fence with a thermometer and a notebook, measuring the rate at which the natural hot spring water cooled and comparing it to chakra-infused heating techniques used by the bathhouse. "The geothermal gradient here creates a natural chakra sink," Naruto was muttering. "If someone could tap into that passive energy flow, you could power a barrier seal indefinitely without active maintenance. The implications for village defense are—" "Kid!" Naruto looked up. A large man with long white hair, red lines down his face, and a presence that screamed legendary stood above him. Naruto's notebook fell from nerveless fingers. "Jiraiya," he breathed. "Of the Sannin. Student of the third. Master of Toad Sage techniques. Creator of the Rasengan's predecessor theory. Author of 16 classified seal research papers. Developer of the—" All right. Jiraiya held up his hands, grinning despite himself. "Tone down the fan worship, kid. I'm just here to train you." "Train me." Naruto's eyes could have lit up a small city. "You're going to train me." "That's what I said. You're going to teach me sage techniques, toad summoning, advanced sealing, the Rasengan, barrier methodology, nature energy conversion. You're going to— I'm going to teach you to shut up first." But Jiraiya was laughing. He'd expected Minato's son to be many things. A sullen Jinchuriki, a power-hungry weapon, a damaged child. Not this. Not a starry-eyed research goblin who looked at him like he was a library with legs. "When do we start?" Naruto asked. "Now." Jiraiya turned. "We're leaving the village for a while. Pack a bag. Naruto was gone before the sentence finished. He was back in 40 seconds with a pack that was 90% notebooks, 5% clothes, and 5% instant ramen. You'll need more clothes than that, Jiraiya said. I can reverse the aging on my clothes indefinitely. They never get dirty or worn. Naruto patted his pack. Notebook space is more important. Jiraiya stared, then laughed, a big belly-deep laugh. You're something else, kid. Thank you. Wasn't necessarily a compliment. I choose to take it as one. They left through the west gate as the sun climbed. Two figures on an open road, one massive and battle-scarred, one small and glowing with barely contained enthusiasm. Behind them, Konoha continued without its most unusual genin, and ahead of them lay a world full of jutsu Naruto hadn't cataloged yet. He could barely contain himself. Hey, kid, Jiraiya said. Naruto looked up. Your father. You know who he was, don't you? Naruto's smile softened, grew warm and sad simultaneously. The fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash, creator of the Flying Thunder God variant, the man who sealed Kurama inside me to save the village. Jiraiya nodded. You're not angry about it? Naruto looked at the stars. His grimoire turned its pages slowly, the golden light mixing with campfire orange. He gave me everything I am, Naruto said. The seal gave me Kurama. Kurama's presence awakened whatever was sleeping inside me. Without Dad's sacrifice, I wouldn't have the grimoire, wouldn't have the time magic, wouldn't be me. He smiled at Jiraiya. How could I be angry at someone who gave me the chance to see all the amazing jutsu in the world? Jiraiya watched the firelight play across the boy's face. Minato's eyes, Kushina's smile, and something else. Something older than both, looking out from behind that youthful face with the calm certainty of someone who had lived a full life once before. You're going to be Hokage someday, kid? Jiraiya said. Naruto's grin went supernova. Obviously. Those scrolls aren't going to read themselves. Jiraiya threw a rice ball at his head. Naruto caught it in a field of stopped time, then ate it in reverse, watching the rice reconstruct itself from chewed bits just for fun, before eating it properly. Weirdo, Jiraiya muttered. Jutsu nerd, Naruto corrected proudly. The fire crackled. The stars wheeled. Time moved forward, carrying two travelers into a future that was equal parts wonder and war, and Naruto Uzumaki drank in every second of it. The training trip lasted 2.5 years. In that time, Jiraiya taught Naruto everything he had: summoning contracts, barrier sealing, advanced Fuinjutsu theory, Rasengan construction, nature energy sensing, toad combat styles, intelligence gathering, espionage tactics, combat philosophy. Naruto absorbed it all like a black hole absorbs light, completely, hungrily, and with an intensity that sometimes frightened even the toad sage. But what Jiraiya taught was only half the equation. What Naruto built from those foundations was something else entirely. The Rasengan, for example. Jiraiya taught him the basic sphere, a compressed ball of spinning chakra, no hand signs, pure shape manipulation. A masterpiece of the fourth Hokage's genius. Naruto mastered it in a day. Then he spent 3 weeks modifying it. What are you doing? Jiraiya asked, watching Naruto hold a Rasengan in his palm that pulsed with golden blue temporal energy, its rotation visibly slowing and accelerating in waves. The Rasengan's rotation creates a grinding effect on contact, Naruto said, his eyes fixed on the sphere with manic focus. But what if the rotation wasn't spatial? What if it was temporal? Each layer spinning at a different speed through time. The outer shell moving forward, the inner core moving backward, creating a contradiction at the point of contact that tears the target apart on a molecular level because its atoms can't agree on which direction time is flowing. Jiraiya stared. Naruto thrust his palm into a boulder. The boulder didn't shatter, didn't crack, didn't explode. It ceased to exist. Where solid rock had been, there was now a perfect sphere of nothing. Not a hole. There was no debris, no dust, no fragments. The matter within the Rasengan's contact radius had been torn from the timeline entirely, erased from the sequence of moments that defined its existence. Naruto pulled his hand back. In his palm, the modified Rasengan spun with a quiet hum, innocent as a child's toy. I call it the Chrono Rasengan, he said happily. Jiraiya sat down heavily on a log. Kid, that just removed matter from existence. From the local timeline, technically, the atom still exists somewhere, just not here, not now. Naruto tilted his head. Is that bad? That's terrifying. Maybe I shouldn't use it on people. Maybe. Naruto considered this, then his smile went sharp, just a flicker, a hint of something beneath the warmth, the shadow of a king who had fought wars and made impossible choices. Maybe not on most people, he amended. Sage mode came next. The natural energy of the world, drawn into the body to enhance everything. Strength, speed, perception, durability. The toads of Mount Miobaku guided the training. Old Fukasaku perched on Naruto's shoulder, dispensing wisdom. Normal sages took weeks, months, years. Naruto took 4 days. Not because he was more talented than Jiraiya or the Fourth, but because he could see the natural energy. His temporal perception allowed him to observe the flow of senjutsu chakra at speeds invisible to normal awareness. He could watch natural energy move, track its patterns, understand its rhythm, and synchronize with it on a level no previous sage had achieved. When he entered sage mode, his eyes didn't just gain the toad-like horizontal pupils. They burned gold. Deep, ancient gold, shot through with temporal fractals that made anyone who looked directly at them feel like they were falling through centuries. The natural energy has a temporal signature, Naruto told Fukasaku, his voice resonant with gathered power. It's ancient, older than the Sage of Six Paths, older than the tailed beasts. It remembers the world before chakra existed. I can feel that memory. Fukasaku stared at his student with wide amphibian eyes. In 800 years of training sages, he had never heard anyone describe the experience like that. What does it feel like, boy? The old toad asked. Naruto closed his golden eyes, smiled, like coming home. Then there was the matter of Kurama. The Nine Tails had spent 2.5 years being asked questions. Endless, relentless, enthusiastic questions about tailed beast chakra, Biju mechanics, the Sage of Six Paths, the history of the 10 Tails, natural energy interaction with dense chakra bodies, and approximately 400 other topics that Kurama had never in his millennium of existence been asked about by anyone. It wore him down. Not to hatred, not to rage. Something worse, fondness. The chakra cloak, Naruto said one night in the mindscape, pacing in the ankle-deep water. When Jinchuriki access their beast's power, the cloak forms as a defensive shell. But it's not just defense, it's a communication medium. The beasts will express through chakra density patterns. That's why hosts lose control. The cloak isn't just power, it's you talking through them. Kurama watched the boy pace. His massive red eyes tracked the movement with something that was no longer irritation. You figured that out yourself? The fox rumbled. I watched how your chakra moves when you're annoyed versus when you're curious versus when you're pretending not to care about my experiments. Naruto grinned. You have tells, Kurama. The fox snorted. Steam billowed. And what do you intend to do with that knowledge? Naruto stopped pacing, turned to face the fox fully. His expression was warm, earnest, without a single trace of manipulation or hunger. I want us to talk. Not through a cage, not through a seal, properly. He extended his fist, small and human and absurd against the mountain of chakra and fury that was the nine-tailed fox. Partners, Naruto said. Kurama stared at the fist, at the boy behind it, at the soul within the boy. Ancient, kind, driven by a love for every living thing's unique existence. 1,000 years of hatred, 100 hosts who saw him as a weapon, 9 Jinchuriki who feared him, used him, resented him, and one who had never once looked at him with anything but fascination and warmth. Kurama extended a single massive claw, touched it to Naruto's fist. The seal between them pulsed, not with restraint, but with recognition. The bars of the cage dissolved, not broken, released. The gate opened willingly, 2 presences merging into cooperation rather than contest. You are still the strangest human I have ever known, Kurama said. Thank you, partner. Still not a compliment, still choosing to take it as one. Kurama's laughter shook the mindscape, deep and rumbling and something close to happy. The chakra that flooded through Naruto wasn't the violent red of forced extraction. It was golden, warm. A cloak of pure cooperation that wrapped around him like sunlight given form. 9 tails of golden energy fanned behind him. His eyes burned with the fusion of sage gold, temporal blue, and Biju power. Naruto Uzumaki, at 14 years old, stood at the peak of a mountain in some unnamed country, wrapped in golden light, his grimoire burning beside him like a star, and he laughed, not at the world, with it. This is beautiful, he called into the wind. Karama! The chakra resonance pattern between us creates a harmonic frequency. It's enhancing my temporal field by a factor of shut up and enjoy the moment, brat. Naruto shut up. He enjoyed the moment. Below, at the base of the mountain, Jiraiya looked up at the golden pillar of light visible from miles away, and he felt tears on his weathered cheeks. Minato, Kushina, you'd be so proud. They encountered Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki on a rainy road in the land of rivers. 6 months before the training trip's scheduled end, Naruto sensed them a mile out. His temporal awareness picked up two presences that moved through time differently. Itachi's, heavy and compressed, like a man who had lived too many years and too few. Kisame's, vast and oceanic, his chakra reserves so massive they distorted the local temporal field like a planet warping space-time. Company, Naruto told Jiraiya. The Sainin's demeanor shifted. Battle ready. Who? Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki Akatsuki. Jiraiya's face went hard. We fall back. Find defensible ground. No. Naruto kept walking. His smile remained, but it changed, gained an edge, a sharpness that Jiraiya had seen only a handful of times when the boy stopped being the enthusiastic researcher and became something older, colder, more certain. I want to talk to Itachi, Naruto said, and I want to see Samehada. Kid, these are S rank. I know what they are. Naruto's blue eyes caught the rain-filtered light. And I know what I am. Let me handle this. Jiraiya hesitated. Every instinct screamed protection, caution, retreat, but he'd spent 2.5 years with this boy. He'd seen what Naruto could do. He'd watched boulders erase from existence, watched time bend like paper, watched the nine-tailed fox bow its head in partnership. He stepped back. I'll be here if you need me. Naruto's smile warmed. I know. He walked forward into the rain. They appeared on the road like ghosts materializing. Itachi in his Akatsuki cloak, Sharingan spinning, his face betraying nothing. Kisame looming behind him, shark-skin sword strapped to his back, grinning with teeth too sharp for a human mouth. Naruto Uzumaki, Itachi said. His voice was flat, empty. The voice of a man who had murdered his own family and lived with it every day since. Itachi Uchiha! Naruto beamed. I've wanted to meet you for so long. Your reputation for genjutsu is unmatched. The Tsukuyomi alone operates on a temporal compression principle that I'm dying to understand. You literally alter the perception of time within an illusion space. Do you have any idea how close that is to what I do? We're practically colleagues. Kisame blinked. Is this kid serious? Always, Naruto confirmed cheerfully. And you, Kisame Hoshigaki? Samehada is a sentient chakra-absorbing entity that interfaces with your own reserves through a symbiotic bond. It's alive. You fight with a living weapon. The biomechanics alone. Can I see it? Can I touch it? Kisame looked at Itachi. Itachi looked at Naruto. The rain fell between them. We're here to capture you, Itachi said. I know. Naruto's smile didn't waver. But you're not going to. Itachi's Sharingan shifted, morphed. The three Tomoe bled together, reshaping into a pinwheel of black on red. The Mangekyo Sharingan opened like a malevolent flower. Tsukuyomi. The world went red and black. The sky inverted. The ground became ceiling. Naruto found himself crucified on a cross in a world of negative color, Itachi standing before him with a sword, the space around them compressed into 72 hours of time within a single second. A genjutsu that broke minds, that shattered psyches, that left its victims catatonic for weeks. Naruto looked around, noted the temporal compression, felt the way Itachi's chakra had invaded his visual cortex and was now feeding false sensory data directly to his brain. Fascinating, Naruto said, still hanging on the cross, completely unaffected. You're compressing perceived time within a genjutsu space. The strain on the victim's brain creates real psychological damage, even though the physical body is unharmed. It's temporal torture without actual time manipulation. He tilted his head, studying the red-black sky with the interest of a scientist examining a particularly novel bacteria culture. But the compression is external. You're manipulating how the victim perceives time. You're not actually changing time. Naruto's smile gained that edge again, that knife-sharp confidence. I can do that. He flexed, not physically, temporally. His will pushed against the boundaries of the Tsukuyomi, and the Tsukuyomi broke, not gradually, not with effort. It shattered like glass struck by a sledgehammer. The red-black world fragmented, crumbled, dissolved, and reality reasserted itself with a thunderclap of golden light. They were back on the road, rain falling. Itachi standing 5 feet away, blood streaming from his right eye, his mangekyō spinning wildly, his face showing the first crack of genuine shock. Naruto stood there, completely unharmed, his grimoire blazing beside him. "Nobody breaks the Tsukuyomi," Kisame said, his grin finally faltering. "Nobody stops time either," Naruto replied. But here we are. Itachi's composure held, barely. His hand moved toward the technique's next level. Amaterasu, the black flames that burned anything, that could never be extinguished, that consumed even fire itself. But Naruto was already moving, not toward Itachi, toward Kisame. "I really want to see Samehada," Naruto said, and he was there, in front of Kisame, inside the massive swordsman's guard, faster than her Akatsuki member had predicted. Not because of speed, because Naruto had skipped the time between positions, had simply deleted the seconds required for travel and arrived at the destination. Kisame swung Samehada on instinct. The massive blade screamed through the air, its scales rising, hungry for chakra. Naruto caught it, his hand wrapped around the blade's surface. Samehada's scales bit into his palm, then stopped. The sentient sword's chakra absorption activated, reaching into Naruto to drink, and recoiled. Samehada shrieked, a sound no living blade should make. Pain, fear, and overwhelming sensation, all compressed into a single note of distress. The sword's scales flattened. Its grip on Kisame's hand loosened. It trembled in Naruto's grasp, because when Samehada reached into Naruto to absorb his chakra, it tasted time itself. It tasted Kurama's ancient hatred turned to golden warmth. It tasted sage energy older than the world. It tasted the grimoire's impossible power, and it broke. Not physically, mentally, spiritually. The sentient weapon's consciousness was overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what inside Naruto Uzumaki, and it simply shut down, went limp, inert. Like a computer crashing from overload, Kisame's weapon dropped from nerveless fingers, hitting the muddy road with a thud. "Samehada!" Kisame stared at his fallen partner, at the boy holding it, at the weapon that had never abandoned him, never feared anything, lying on the ground like dead wood. Naruto set the blade down gently. "Sorry about that. I think I overloaded its sensory capacity. It should recover in a few hours." He pulled out his notebook, already scribbling. The absorption mechanism is incredible, though. It uses a bio-chakra interface that mimics cellular osmosis. The scales function as individual chakra receptor organs. It's alive in the truest sense. Kisame stared, then looked at Itachi. The Uchiha was perfectly still, blood still dripping from his eye, his expression unreadable. "We're leaving," Itachi said. "What?" Kisame snarled. "I'm not." "We're leaving." Itachi's tone brooked no argument. His Mangekyo had already deactivated. His regular Sharingan spun with something that might have been recognition, acknowledgement, the understanding of a genius encountering another genius and knowing the gap between them. "But before we go," Itachi said, his eyes meeting Naruto's. "Sasuke, how is he?" The rain fell. Naruto looked at Itachi Uchiha, the man who had killed his clan, who carried a burden no one understood, who loved his brother enough to become a monster so that brother could become a hero. And he saw it. All of it. Written in the temporal wear on the man's cells, in the accelerated aging of his body, in the disease eating him alive that he refused to treat. Naruto saw a man choosing to die. "He's strong," Naruto said. "He's home. He's safe, and one day I'll make sure he knows the truth about what you did." Itachi's composure cracked, just for an instant, a flash of something behind those empty eyes, relief, gratitude, grief, before the mask returned. "You can see it," Itachi said. "Not a question. Your illness. Yes, the cellular degeneration is aggressive. You have maybe 3 years. Naruto's expression softened. "I could fix it, if you'd let me." The silence stretched. Rain fell on two figures facing each other across a distance measured in more than feet. "No," Itachi said finally. "My death is part of the plan. Plans can change. Not this one." Itachi turned. His cloak swirled. "Protect my brother Naruto Uzumaki. That is all I ask." They vanished. Body flickered into the rain, leaving only the smell of ozone and the fading impression of two dangerous men retreating from a boy they'd come to capture. Naruto stood in the rain. His grimoire's pages turned slowly. His expression was heavy with the weight of a king who had seen good men destroy themselves for causes that might not deserve the sacrifice. "I'll save you too, Itachi," he said to the empty road. "Whether you want me to or not." Behind him, Jiraiya emerged from his hiding position, his face grim. They'll report back to Akatsuki. They'll know your capabilities now. Good. Naruto's smile returned. Sharp, the edge visible. Let them know what's coming. They returned to Konoha 2 weeks later. Naruto walked through the gates at 15 years old. Taller, broader, his blonde hair longer, his jaw sharper. The whisker marks on his cheeks had deepened. His blue eyes carried a depth they hadn't held before. The weight of 2.5 years of growth compressed into the body of a teenager who'd once been a king. His grimoire floated beside him, larger now, its golden glow deeper, richer. Its pages turned with a confidence that matched its master. The guards at the gate stared. They recognized him, the Jinchuriki, the boy who'd saved the village. But the person walking through their checkpoint felt different. Bigger, not physically, presently. The air around him seemed to bend, to acknowledge him, to make way. Naruto Uzumaki, returning from training trip, he told them cheerfully. Miss me? They had. The village had. In ways none of them had expected, word spread fast. The Uzumaki kid is back. And within hours, people began arriving. Sakura found him first at Ichiraku Ramen. She'd grown too, taller, stronger, her forehead bearing the diamond seal of a Tsunade-trained medical ninja. She punched him in the arm by way of greeting. You're late, she said. By 2 weeks. Sorry, Jiraiya found a hot spring. Naruto rubbed his arm, grinning. Sakura, your chakra control has tripled, and that seal on your forehead, is that the strength of 100? You're storing chakra continuously? The cell regeneration potential. I missed you too, idiot. She was smiling. Really smiling, Sasuke appeared the next day, leaning against the training grounds fence, arms crossed, looking every bit the composed Uchiha prodigy he'd grown into. No curse mark, no hatred boiling behind his eyes. Something harder to define, purpose maybe, direction without poison. Dobe, Sasuke said. Sasuke! Naruto lit up. Your chakra signature changed. The fire nature is denser, but the lightning element is more refined. Did you figure out how to dual nature cycle without hand signs? That's only theoretically possible. Let me see. Sasuke almost smiled. Almost. Fight me first, after lunch. Now, Sasuke, priorities. Naruto held up his ramen bowl. This is the new limited edition truffle-infused tonkatsu. The umami layering is unprecedented. I can taste at least 6 distinct flavor development stages in the broth reduction process. Sasuke stared at him. You're exactly the same. Thank you. Not a compliment. Choosing to take it as one. Some things never changed. Some things shouldn't. But one thing was new. One person Naruto hadn't expected. She arrived with the Sand Village's diplomatic envoy 3 days after his return. A joint mission debrief regarding the long-term alliance forged after the failed invasion. Tamari of the Sand, eldest daughter of the 4th Kazekage, wielder of the wind, sharp as the edge of her battle fan. She walked into the mission briefing room like she owned it. Tall, blonde, her teal eyes cutting through the assembled Konoha shinobi with the casual assessment of someone who could level a forest with a wave of her hand. Naruto noticed her immediately. Not because of her looks, though she was striking. Not because of her chakra, though it was impressive, dense with wind nature, shaped by desert survival. Because of her fan. That's a triple moon battle fan, he said, appearing beside her so fast the sand escort nearly drew weapons. The pivot joint uses a friction-resistant alloy that allows full deployment in under half a second. The surface area creates a natural wind tunnel effect when combined with chakra release. You're not just directing wind, you're amplifying it through structural aerodynamics. That's engineering genius married to combat application. Tamari looked at the blonde teenager who had materialized next to her, his eyes full of stars, a floating golden book orbiting his head, a notebook already in hand. Who the hell are you? She said. Naruto Uzumaki. Can I see your fan up close? The folding mechanism alone. Back off, Leaf Boy. She raised an eyebrow, her hand settling on the fan's strap. You always invade people's personal space like this? Only when their weapons are architecturally fascinating. Tamari's eyes narrowed. Then she registered the name. Naruto Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki, the boy who reversed an invasion, the monster in human skin that every village's intelligence reports warned about. This kid? You're the time bender, she said. Jutsu enthusiast, he corrected. You reversed building collapses across an entire village. Buildings are easy, they want to be whole. Matter has memory. Tamari studied him, hard, Looking for the threat, the danger, the arrogance that should accompany that level of power, she found warmth, sincerity, and enthusiasm so genuine it was almost insulting. "You're weird," she said. "I get that a lot. Show me something." Her chin lifted. A challenge. A dare. "Prove you're half as interesting as your reputation says." Naruto tilted his head, then held out his hand, palm up. Above it, a small cyclone formed, wind chakra, pulled from the ambient air. But not just any wind. Temporally layered wind, each spiral moving at a different speed through time. The inner rotations were years ahead of the outer ones. The wind existed in multiple moments simultaneously, creating a visual effect like watching a hurricane in fast forward and slow motion at the same time. It was beautiful, impossibly, heartbreakingly beautiful, like watching seasons change in the span of a breath. Tamari's eyes went wide, then wider. She leaned forward, her composure cracking into something that looked almost like wonder. How the temporal offset between each layer should tear the structure apart. The sheer forces alone. "You know wind theory at that level?" Naruto's own eyes went wide. "You understand the sheer dynamics? Most wind users just channel and release. You actually understand the physics of what you're doing?" Tamari looked at him. At the boy with the golden book, who apparently found her competence more attractive than any physical feature, she smirked. "Obviously, any idiot can swing a fan. Understanding what the wind actually does is what separates a weapon from a weapon master." Naruto's notebook was out. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Your wind affinity, is it pure nature or composite? Desert wind patterns differ from forest wind patterns at the molecular humidity level. Does that affect your technique development? Your fan's deployment angle creates a natural—" "Buy me dinner first," Tamari said. Naruto stopped mid-sentence, blinked, processed, his face went red. The grimoire's pages turned in what could only be described as laughter. "Ah, that's dinner? Like, you want my wind secrets, Leaf Boy?" Tamari's smirk was devastating. "Earn them." She walked away. The sand escort followed, looking confused. Behind her, Naruto stood rooted to the spot, his notebook hanging from nerveless fingers, his face the color of a tomato. Jiraiya, watching from across the room, grinned so wide it split his face. "That's my student." Naruto's brain rebooted. "Jiraiya, is she? Take her somewhere nice, kid." Naruto took Tamari to dinner that night. Then the next night. Then the night after that. They argued about wind dynamics over dumplings. Debated chakra nature theory over sake. She drank, he analyzed the fermentation process. She showed him the calculations behind her sickle weasel technique, and he rebuilt them from scratch with temporal variables added, improving the cutting efficiency by 40%. She watched him stop a falling chopstick in midair out of reflex, and restart it so smoothly the waiter didn't notice. He watched her slice a training dummy in half from 30 meters with a casual wave that displaced enough air to alter the local weather patterns. "You're terrifying," he told her, grinning. "Coming from you, that's actually flattering," she replied. It wasn't love at first sight. It was respect at first sight. Admiration at first conversation. Trust built through shared intellect and mutual recognition of what the other was, not just powerful, but worthy of that power. The romance grew like one of Naruto's time-accelerated seeds, rooted deep, rising strong, unstoppable once it started. But the world didn't stop for love. The message arrived by emergency hawk 3 weeks after Naruto's return. Gaara had been taken. The 5th Kazekage, Tamari's brother, the one-tailed Jinchuriki, had been attacked in Sunagakure by 2 Akatsuki members. A blonde bomber riding a clay bird and a hunched puppeteer shrouded in poison. They'd overwhelmed the village's defenses, fought Gaara above the rooftops, and when Gaara chose to protect his people with his sand shield rather than himself, they took him. Tamari received the message in Konoha. Her face drained of color. Her hands crushed the scroll into dust. "Gaara," she whispered. Naruto was beside her in an instant. His expression had changed. The warmth was still there, underneath. But on the surface was the Wizard King. The weight of a man who had governed a kingdom and protected every citizen within it. "I'll bring him back," Naruto said. Tamari looked at him, eyes bright with unshed tears, jaw set with fury, body vibrating with the need to move. "We'll bring him back," she corrected. Naruto smiled, that sharp, edged smile that promised violence to anyone who stood in his way. "Together then. Team Kakashi deployed within the hour. Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, joined by Temari and her Sand Village escort. They moved fast, faster than any normal team should have been able to, because Naruto extended his temporal field around the group, subtly accelerating their personal time to cover ground at triple the normal rate. 3 days of travel compressed into one. They arrived at the Akatsuki's hiding place, a massive boulder sealed shut across a river cave entrance. Wards, barriers, 5 seal protection requiring simultaneous removal across a 5-kilometer radius. The barrier is impressive, Kakashi assessed. We'd need multiple teams to remove it simultaneously. Naruto walked forward. He placed his palm on the boulder, his grimoire open beside him, pages flipping to a specific array. His eyes burned gold. Everything has an age, he said. Everything has a beginning. He pushed, the boulder's timeline accelerated. 1,000 years, 10,000, 100,000. The stone aged beyond its capacity to exist. It crumbled to dust. Then the dust aged to nothing. The wards, tied to the physical medium of the stone, collapsed with it. The cave yawned open. Or we could do that, Kakashi said. Inside, the cave was vast, and at its center, on a massive sealed statue with 9 closed eyes, lay Gaara, still, pale. The extraction process half complete. They'd arrived before the one tail was fully removed, but only barely. 2 figures stood between them and Gaara. Deidara, the bomber, blonde hair, single visible eye, mouths in his palms chewing clay. He grinned with the manic energy of an artist facing his audience. Sasori of the red sand. Hidden within his puppet armor, Hiruko, a scorpion's tail dripping venom, moving with the clicking precision of 1,000 joints. Visitors. Deidara spread his arms. I was hoping someone would appreciate my art. What do you think of the extraction setup? The composition alone took. Naruto appeared in front of him. No warning. No movement detected. One instant Naruto was at the cave entrance. The next instant he was 3 inches from Deidara's face, his hand already gripping the bomber's throat. Deidara's visible eye went wide. His hands, reflexive, trained by years of combat, reached for the clay pouches at his waist. Naruto's free hand caught both of Deidara's wrists, held them. The grip wasn't tight. It didn't need to be. The temporal field wrapped around Deidara's arms, locking them in a frozen instant. He couldn't move them forward. Couldn't move them backward. They existed in a bubble of paused time, completely inert. You took someone precious from someone I love, Naruto said. His voice was different. The warmth was gone, not replaced by cold, by weight, by the finality of a king delivering judgment. Wait. Deidara started. Naruto's grip on the bomber's throat tightened. His temporal awareness scanned Deidara's body. The clay infused into his very cells, the chest mouth where he stored his ultimate detonation. The escape methods built into his physiology. All of it was time-based matter. All of it could be aged to nothing. You have 3 seconds to tell me you can undo what you've done to Gaara, Naruto said. Deidara's single eye darted between Naruto's burning golden gaze. He searched for mercy, for hesitation, for the boyish warmth his intelligence reports had described. He found none. I can't. The extraction. Once started. Deidara choked. Naruto's expression didn't change. Then you have no value to me. He released Deidara's throat. The bomber gasped, stumbling backward, his hands still frozen in temporal stasis. Relief flooded his face for half a second. Naruto pointed a single finger at Deidara's chest. Chrono erasure. A beam of golden blue light, thin as a needle, perfect as a laser, struck Deidara through the heart. Not burning, not piercing, erasing. The light expanded from the point of contact outward, consuming Deidara's body in a cascade of temporal annihilation. Each cell hit by the effect aged beyond existence, past dust, past atoms, past subatomic particles into nothing. Deidara dissolved. From the center outward, his body came apart like sand in wind, except the sand vanished too. In 2 seconds, there was nothing left. No body, no blood, no clay, no art, just empty space where a man had been. The cave was silent. Sasori's puppet shell rotated toward the space where his partner had existed. His tail rose, dripping venom. But his movements were slower now. More careful, calculating. What are you? The puppeteer asked, his gravelly voice echoing from within Hiruko. Naruto turned to face him. His eyes still burned. The grimoire's pages turned in a storm of golden light. I'm the person who's going to save Gaara, Naruto said. Move or don't, it doesn't matter. Sasori's tail struck fast. The puppet master's attack was genuinely fast. a blur of poison-tipped metal aimed at Naruto's chest. The venom on that blade could kill 100 men. The speed of the strike rivaled a jonin. The tail stopped an inch from Naruto's chest, frozen in time. Naruto didn't even look at it. He was already walking past Sasori, toward the statue, toward Gaara. His eyes were fixed on the pale form of Temari's brother, and nothing else mattered. "Handle him," Naruto said over his shoulder. Temari and Sakura moved. Sasori finally had opponents, but the fire had gone out of the fight. He'd seen what happened to Deidara. He'd seen the casual way this boy had erased a human being from existence. For the first time in 20 years of converting his own body to puppet parts, Sasori felt afraid of dying. The fight was brief. Sakura's monstrous strength shattered Hiruko's shell. Temari's wind sliced through puppet strings with surgical precision. When Sasori's true body was revealed, a boyish face atop a puppet torso, his heart the only human organ remaining, Sakura's fist went through his core. It was over. Naruto reached Gaara. The Kazakai lay on the statue's hand, barely breathing. His sand armor crumbled, the One-Tail's presence flickering like a candle in a storm. The extraction had been nearly complete. Shukaku was half gone. Gaara's life force was fading. "No," Naruto said, gentle, firm. The voice of someone who simply refused to accept reality's decision. He placed both hands on Gaara's chest. His grimoire opened to a specific page, one that burned brighter than the others, one that hummed with the weight of a spell meant to challenge death itself. Chrono Anastasis, individual. Golden light flooded into Gaara's body. But this wasn't the village-wide reversal from the invasion. This was focused, precise, targeted. Naruto reached into the timeline of Gaara's body and found the moment before the extraction began. The moment where Shukaku was whole, where Gaara's life force was complete, where everything was as it should have been. And he pulled that moment forward. The timeline inside Gaara's body rewound. Shukaku's extracted chakra returned, flowing backward into the seal, reconstituting, reforming. Color returned to Gaara's cheeks. His breathing strengthened. His heartbeat steadied. 10 seconds. That was all it took. Gaara's teal eyes opened. He stared up at Naruto, at the blonde boy wreathed in golden light. Tears, actual tears, streaming down whiskered cheeks, smiling that impossibly warm smile. "Welcome back, Kazekage-sama," Naruto said. Behind them, Temari's battle fan clattered to the ground. She was running, sprinting across the cave floor, her composure gone, her face a mess of tears and relief. She crashed into Gaara's barely conscious form, wrapping her arms around her brother, burying her face in his shoulder. Her body shook with sobs. "Temari," Gaara said. His voice was a whisper, raw, confused, alive. "Shut up," she choked. "Just shut up and be alive." Naruto stepped back, gave them the moment. His eyes moved to the statue, the Gedo Mazo, vessel of the tailed beasts, tool of Akatsuki's plans. He studied it with temporal awareness, reading its age, its purpose, its history, old, impossibly old, connected to something vast and terrible. "I'm going to figure out what you are," he told it silently, "and I'm going to stop whatever you're being used for." The statue stared back with 9 closed eyes and said nothing. They left the cave carrying Gaara home. The sun was setting over the desert, painting everything in gold and orange, and Temari walked beside Naruto with her brother on a stretcher between them. Her hand found his, squeezed, said everything words couldn't. Naruto squeezed back. "Thank you," she said. "Just that. Nothing more needed." "Always," he said, and meant it with every fiber of 2 lives' worth of conviction. The next months moved fast. Akatsuki accelerated. With 2 members dead, Deidara erased, Sasori destroyed, the organization adjusted its timeline. Reports filtered into Konoha of increased activity. Other Jinchuriki hunted, the 2 tails taken, the 3 tails captured, the 7 tails extracted. The world was bleeding. Naruto trained harder. Not because he wasn't strong enough, because the problem wasn't strength, it was reach. He couldn't be everywhere, couldn't protect everyone simultaneously. The Akatsuki operated across multiple continents, and even with his power over time, Naruto was one person in one place, so he worked on that problem. "Temporal clones," he told Kurama one night, "not shadow clones. Not copies of my body, copies of my moment. If I can split myself across multiple points in the timeline, exist in multiple nows simultaneously, I can protect more people." "That sounds insane," Kurama observed. "Most of my best ideas sound insane before they work." "Most of your best ideas are insane. They just also work." Exactly. It took him 6 weeks. 6 weeks of theory, calculation, trial, and error. 6 weeks of temporal equations that would have driven lesser minds to madness. 6 weeks of the grimoire's pages turning to sections Naruto had never accessed before. Deeper magic, older spells, the foundations of time itself laid bare. And then he cracked it. He could exist in up to 4 simultaneous temporal instances. 4 Narutos, each occupying the same moment but different spaces, each with full access to his power, each connected through a temporal thread that kept them synchronized. Not clones, instances. The same consciousness experiencing 4 locations at once. That's the single most broken ability I've ever seen, Jiraiya said flatly, watching Naruto exist in 4 places in his training grounds simultaneously. Thank you. All 4 Narutos said in unison. Danzo made his move during this period. The old Warhawk had waited, planned, gathered intelligence. He understood now that Naruto could not be taken by force, could not be controlled by fear, could not be claimed through political maneuvering while the 3rd Hokage lived. So Danzo tried something else. He sent a root operative to make contact. A young woman, emotionally conditioned, programmed to befriend the target, embed herself in his social circle, and report his weaknesses. Her name was Sai. He lasted 4 hours. Not because Naruto detected him, not because the disguise failed, but because Naruto was so genuinely, overwhelmingly kind and interested in Sai's ink-based jutsu that the emotional conditioning cracked. Your Super Beast scroll technique uses ink as a medium for animation jutsu, Naruto was saying, circling one of Sai's drawn lions with sparkling eyes. But it's not just animation. The ink becomes the thing. The drawing achieves physical permanence through your chakra. You're creating matter from art. Do you understand how philosophically incredible that is? Sai stood rigid. His training said observe, report, manipulate. But no one in his entire life had ever looked at his art and called it incredible. It's just a tool, Sai said. His voice was flat, hollow, the voice of someone trained to feel nothing. Naruto stopped circling, looked at Sai, really looked. His temporal awareness read the boy's history in his cells, the malnutrition of childhood conditioning, the stress markers of emotional suppression training, the subtle chakra scarring on his tongue from a seal meant to prevent information leaks. Root, Danzo's work, Naruto's expression didn't change outwardly. But something behind his eyes went cold, not toward Sai, toward the person who had done this to him. It's not just a tool, Naruto said softly. It's you. Everything you draw comes from something inside you that they couldn't take away. Your art is proof that you're still a person. Sai's brush trembled in his hand. I was sent to observe you, Sai admitted. The words came out like a confession, like removing a weight. The tongue seal burned in his mouth, trying to stop him, but Naruto reached out and touched Sai's jaw with 2 fingers. Chrono reversal. The seal's timeline rewound, past its creation, past its placement, to the moment before it existed. The seal dissolved from Sai's tongue like ice in sunlight. Sai gasped, coughed, spoke without pain for the first time in years. Danzo sent me, he said. I know. Naruto's smile was warm, sad, understanding. You don't have to go back. Sai looked at his own hands, at the brush, at the drawn lion that paced beside Naruto's golden grimoire like they were friends. I don't know how to be anything else, Sai whispered. Then let me show you. Naruto extended his hand. Start with this. My name is Naruto. I think your art is the most amazing thing I've seen this week. Can we be friends? Sai took the hand. His grip was uncertain, unpracticed, but real. Yes, he said. Danzo received a report that evening. Target compromised operative within 4 hours. Operative defection confirmed. Recommend no further direct engagement attempts. The old Warhawk read the report, set it down, looked at the wall of his office for a very long time. Uncontrollable, he murmured, completely uncontrollable. He reached for another plan. Naruto found Danzo 3 weeks later, not through investigation, not through intelligence gathering, through temporal reading. Every action leaves a trace in time. Every decision creates a ripple. Naruto had spent years developing his ability to read these traces, to see the age of things, the history of places, the temporal fingerprints left by people and their choices. He read the traces on Sai's body, followed them backward, through Root's underground passages, through Danzo's operational history, through decades of manipulation, assassination, warmongering, and betrayal. He found everything. The Uchiha Massacre collaboration, the stolen Sharingan arm, the dealings with Orochimaru, the war profiteering, the murdered comrades, the betrayed allies, all of it. Naruto appeared in Danzo's office at midnight. No door opening, no window breaking. One moment the office was empty but for the old man and his guards. The next moment, Naruto Uzumaki stood in the center of the room, his grimoire blazing like a sun, his eyes burning with the golden wrath of a king who had found a traitor in his court. The root guards moved, 4 of them, elite assassins, conditioned for absolute obedience, armed with chakra blades and decades of training. Naruto didn't look at them. Chronostasis, area. The 4 guards froze, mid-stride, mid-draw, locked in a single instant that would not end until Naruto willed it. Danzo sat behind his desk. His single visible eye was wide, his bandaged arm flexed beneath its wrappings, the stolen Sharingan eyes opening in the darkness of their stolen sockets. Uzumaki. Don't, Naruto said. The word hit like a physical blow. Not through chakra, through authority. Through the weight of someone who had seen what this man had done and decided he was finished tolerating it. I know everything, Danzo. Naruto's voice was even. Flat, not warm, not cold, simply true. The Sharingan in your arm, Shisui's eye behind those bandages, every root operative you've stolen and broken, every mission you've sabotaged, every ally you've betrayed. Danzo's hand moved toward his bandages. Izanagi, the technique that rewrote reality through sacrifice Sharingan. His contingency, his escape plan. Don't, Naruto repeated, his hand rose, a single gesture, casual as breathing. The bandages on Danzo's arm aged to dust. The Sharingan eyes beneath, stolen from the murdered Uchiha, were exposed to the air. 10 of them, implanted in the flesh of a man who had no right to them. Naruto looked at those eyes, at the dead clan's heritage, ripped from corpses and embedded in a thief's arm. His expression shifted. The last trace of warmth vanished. What remained was something ancient, something that wore the face of a boy, but carried the weight of a king who had executed traitors and protected his people without flinching. You stole the eyes of murdered children, Naruto said. You collaborated in the extinction of a clan. You tortured children into weapons. You undermined every Hokage who tried to build peace. He stepped forward. Danzo flinched. The elder of Konoha, the man who had toppled governments and orchestrated assassinations across 3 nations, flinched from a 15-year-old boy. I'm going to take those eyes, Naruto said. I'm going to return them to Sasuke, and you are going to stand before the Hokage and confess everything you've done. You will accept whatever judgment is given. Danzo's remaining eye blazed. You have no authority. I have every authority. Naruto's voice dropped. The grimoire's pages turned in a hurricane. The golden light intensified until the office was bright as noon. I have the authority of someone who can erase you from this moment and every moment after it. I have the authority of someone who loves this village more than you have ever feared losing control of it. I have the authority of someone who will not allow one more child to be broken in your underground hell. His hand extended toward Danzo's arm. Choose, confession or oblivion. There is no third option. Danzo's stolen eyes spun wildly. He prepared Izanagi, the reality rewriting technique, the last resort, the escape that even death couldn't prevent. Naruto's eyes narrowed. You're going to try to rewrite reality. A statement, not a question. You're going to sacrifice one of those stolen eyes to create a timeline where my attack didn't happen. Danzo froze. Let me be clear about something, Naruto said, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. I control time. You borrowed a technique that approximates temporal manipulation through sacrifice biology. That is the difference between someone who commands the ocean and someone who carries a cup of water. He closed his hand into a fist. Every Sharingan in Danzo's arm closed. Simultaneously. Not from Danzo's will, from Naruto's. Their temporal energy signatures were disrupted. Their ability to activate severed by a presence that operated on a higher level of temporal authority. Danzo's contingency died in his arm. The old man looked at Naruto Uzumaki and saw, for the first time, what the rest of the world had already learned. This was not a boy. This was not a genin. This was not a weapon to be claimed or a resource to be managed. This was an absolute force, wrapped in flesh, given human shape by the kindness of whatever God had sent it, and it had decided Danzo Shimura was done. Confession, Danzo whispered. Not because he chose it, because there was nothing else. Naruto nodded, released the root guards from stasis, walked out of the office with the removed Sharingan eyes preserved in temporal stasis bubbles, floating behind him like macabre lanterns. He delivered them to Sasuke the next morning, along with the full truth of the Uchiha massacre, Danzo's involvement, Itachi's sacrifice, the village's guilt. Sasuke held the Sharingan of his dead relatives and wept. Naruto sat beside him in silence, his hand on Sasuke's shoulder, giving him the one thing Naruto couldn't manipulate with time magic, the space to grieve. Danzo's trial was held that week. His crimes were laid bare. The village's ugliest secrets were exposed to sunlight. He was executed by order of the third Hokage, who signed the warrant with a hand that did not shake and eyes that did not look away. This should have been done years ago, Hiruzen said to Naruto afterward. I was too weak, too sentimental. You were kind, Naruto said. That's not weakness, but kindness without action is negligence. You know that now. Hiruzen nodded, slowly, heavily. I do. The world contracted after that. Every event, every conflict, every threat began spiraling toward a central point. Naruto could feel it in the temporal currents, a convergence approaching. A moment when everything would meet. Akatsuki's leader made his move. Pain came to Konoha, not the rain, not the genjutsu, not a subtle approach. 6 bodies, 6 paths, 6 dead shinobi reanimated and puppeted by a man who called himself God. His Rinnegan burning in dead eye sockets, his intent to capture the Nine Tails regardless of cost. They descended on Konoha like a biblical plague. 6 orange-haired figures, each wielding a different aspect of an impossible dujutsu, each powerful enough to fight a Kage alone. The first attack hit the village walls. The Asura path, mechanical body, rocket launcher arms, blew a hole in the eastern fortification. The animal path summoned beasts the size of buildings. The Preta path absorbed the first wave of defensive jutsu. The human path ripped souls from screaming Chunin. The Naraka path healed any damage dealt to its siblings. And at the center, floating above it all, the Deva path. Yako's body, worn like a suit, his stolen Rinnegan blazing with gravitational authority. Where is the Nine Tails Jinchuriki? The Deva path demanded, his voice carrying across the entire village through amplified chakra. Surrender him, and this village will be spared. Refuse, and he raised his hand. Shinra Tensei. Gravity inverted. A sphere of repulsive force expanded from the Deva path's position, slamming into buildings, streets, people, pushing everything away with the force of a god's open palm for exactly 1/100th of a second. Then it stopped. The gravitational wave froze. Mid-expansion, the debris it had launched hung in the air. The dust cloud paused. The shock wave, powerful enough to level a quarter of the village, existed in a single frozen instant, going nowhere. Above Konoha, a golden clock face manifested in the sky, smaller than the invasion mandala from years ago. More focused, more controlled. A surgical application, rather than a blanket reversal. Naruto Uzumaki stood in the sky beneath it. Not on a building, not on a summoning. In the sky, suspended by nothing but temporal authority and the absolute refusal to let his home be damaged again. His grimoire orbited him in a wide arc, its pages burning, its presence a challenge to everything the 6 paths represented. No, Naruto said. One word. Aimed at the Deva path, aimed at pain, aimed at whatever ideology thought destroying a village of civilians was acceptable means to an end. The frozen Shinra Tensei dissipated. Its energy aged to nothing in Naruto's grip. The debris settled gently to the ground. The village remained whole. The 6 paths turned their attention skyward. 12 Rinnegan eyes fixed on Naruto. The Nine Tails, the Deva path said. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto responded. His tone was flat, hard, the ancient weight fully present. And I'm going to give you one chance to leave before I disassemble every body you're wearing. You are nothing but a vessel for the beast, Pain declared. A necessary sacrifice for peace. Peace. The word left Naruto's mouth like acid. You just tried to flatten a city of 300,000 people for peace. Pain is the path to. Pain is what you're about to experience, Naruto said and descended. He came down from the sky like a meteor. Golden light trailing behind him, grimoire screaming with power, his body wrapped in Kurama's golden cloak. 9 tails fanning behind him, sage markings around his eyes, temporal energy wreathing his fists. He hit the ground in the village center, and the earth cracked from sheer presence, not impact. The 6 paths converged on him from all directions. The Ashura path reached him first. Mechanical augmentations extending, missiles launching, arms splitting into bladed weapons that moved with machine precision. Naruto pointed at it. Chrono erasure. The golden beam hit the Ashura path's head. The body dissolved from the skull downward, every atom aged out of existence, the mechanical parts and organic tissue alike consumed by the absolute entropy of accelerated time. In 1 second, the Asura path was gone. No debris, no corpse, nothing. 5 paths remaining, the animal path slammed its palm to the ground. Summoning technique! 3 massive beasts materialized, a rhino, a bull, a multi-headed dog. Each one charged at Naruto with the force of a building falling sideways. Naruto raised both hands. Chronostasis, multi-target. All 3 summons froze. Mid-charge. Their massive bodies locked in time, momentum arrested, kinetic energy deleted. 3 mountain-sized beasts became 3 mountain-sized statues in the space of a thought. Naruto walked between them, toward the animal path. The summoner's Rinnegan tracked him, its dead face showing nothing, but Pain's true self, wherever he was, felt something tighten in his chest. The summoning contract is maintained by the summoner's chakra, Naruto said conversationally, his tone almost academic, almost warm. But the edge was there, the blade beneath the velvet. If the summoner ceases to exist, the contract dissolves. He reached the animal path. The dead woman's body, puppeted by piercing rods, faced him with empty Rinnegan eyes. Naruto put his hand on the path's forehead. "Go back to being dead," he said gently. "You deserve the rest." Time reversal flowed through the reanimated body, not destroying it, releasing it, undoing the reanimation, returning the dead cells to their natural state. The chakra receivers dissolved, the Rinnegan faded, the woman's body became simply a corpse. It slumped to the ground, at peace. The 3 frozen summons vanished in puffs of smoke, their contract voided, 4 paths remaining. The human path and the Preta path attacked together. Soul-ripping hands and chakra-absorbing shields working in tandem, one to drain, one to kill. Naruto moved between them like wind between leaves. The human path's hand reached for his head, the soul extraction technique that tore a person's spiritual essence from their body. Naruto caught the wrist, studied the technique from the point of contact, feeling the mechanism through temporal awareness. "You reach into the spiritual timeline and pull the soul out of its current moment," he murmured, genuinely fascinated even now. "That's beautiful and horrifying, but it requires contact with a soul that exists in linear time." His smile went cold. "Mine doesn't." He gripped the human path's wrist and reversed. The reanimation collapsed. Another corpse. The Preta path lunged, its barrier activating, the ability to absorb any chakra-based attack, making ninjutsu useless against it. Naruto let it grab him. Let the absorption technique activate. Let it drink. The Preta path convulsed. Like Samehada before it, the absorption mechanism was overwhelmed. Temporal energy, Biju chakra, sage power, and the grimoire's impossible magic flooded into the path's body faster than it could process. The dead flesh couldn't contain it. The chakra system overloaded. The Preta path exploded, not violently. It simply came apart, dissolved into light and dust and nothing. 2 paths remaining. The Naraka path attempted to revive its fallen siblings. Its summoning, the King of Hell, rose from the ground with an open mouth, prepared to consume the damaged paths and restore them. Naruto looked at it. No. He aged the King of Hell. The summoned entity, a spiritual construct tied to the outer path, experienced 10 million years in a single heartbeat. Even something beyond mortal had a lifespan. Even something from the other side had an end. The King of Hell collapsed into temporal dust. The Naraka path, useless without its ability, was released from reanimation with a touch of Naruto's hand. 1 path remaining, the Deva path. It stood in the rubble of the crater Naruto's arrival had created. Yahiko's face, cold and empty, Rinnegan blazing with purple fire. The strongest path, the one that controlled gravity itself. "Shinra Tensei," it declared. The repulsive force came faster this time, stronger. Pain was pushing everything he had through this single remaining body, desperate, furious, pouring his ideology into the technique. Naruto met it with his palm. The gravitational force hit his hand and stopped, not frozen, countered. Naruto's temporal authority pushed against Pain's gravitational authority in a clash of fundamental forces, time versus gravity. The ground beneath them cratered. The air between them screamed. Light bent. sound distorted. Reality groaned under the strain of two impossible forces meeting head-on. "You think you understand pain," the Devapath said, its voice straining. "You who have always had power, always had strength. What do you know of suffering?" Naruto's arm didn't waver. His golden eyes burned steady. "I was a king once," he said. "In another life. I loved my people more than I loved myself. I fought to protect every single one of them. And in the end, I couldn't save them all. I watched good people die while I was too slow, too far, too limited." The gravitational force intensified. The ground sank deeper. Naruto's feet cracked the stone beneath them. "But I never decided that their pain justified creating more pain. I never looked at a city of children and said, 'Your suffering will teach the world.' That isn't justice. It isn't philosophy. It's cowardice dressed up in God speak." Naruto pushed. The Shinra Tensei shattered. The gravitational field collapsed. The repulsive force reversed, reflecting back on the Deva path with amplified temporal weight. Yahiko's body flew backward, crashing through 3 buildings before coming to rest in a crater of its own making. Naruto followed, walked through the dust, stood over the broken path. "Where are you?" Naruto asked. "Not this puppet, you, the real you." The Deva path's broken face smiled, faintly, painfully. "You'll come to me, you always would." The body went still. The Rinnegan dimmed. Pain's signal transmitted through the chakra receivers had withdrawn. Naruto closed his eyes, felt the temporal threads, traced the signal backward through the air, through the barriers, now through the miles of distance, to a tower on the outskirts of the village. A paper construct, a hidden room, and in it, a man in a life support machine, wasted and thin, his Rinnegan the only living thing left in a body that had long since stopped deserving the word. Nagato. Naruto went to him. He found the tower. Walked through the paper barriers that Konan, the blue-haired angel, had constructed. She stood between him and her dying leader, her arms spread, paper wings unfurling, her expression fierce with love and desperation. "You will not touch him," she said. "I'm not here to hurt him," Naruto said. His voice was gentle now. The battle anger had faded. What remained was the king's compassion, the understanding of someone who had faced enemies driven by grief and recognized the wound beneath the rage. "You don't need to fight me, Konan. I want to talk to Nato. That's all." Konan's amber eyes searched his, for deceit. For the bloodlust she expected from a Jinchuriki pushed to war, she found warmth, honesty, a sadness that mirrored her own. Her wings folded. She stepped aside. Nagato hung in his mechanical throne, his red hair limp, his body emaciated, his Rinnegan staring out from a face that had once been a child's. A child who had lost everything and been given the eyes of a god as consolation. "You've come," Nagato said. His voice was a rasp, a shadow. "I've come." Naruto stood before the broken man and felt no anger, only grief, only the recognition of what happens when pain becomes philosophy and philosophy becomes atrocity. "You want to kill me," Nagato said. "No." Naruto shook his head. "I want you to fix what you've done. The dead cannot be. They can." Naruto's eyes locked onto Nagato's. Golden meeting purple. "You have the outer path, the Rin rebirth. You can bring back every person your paths killed today, every soul your invasion took. You can give them back." "That will kill me," Nagato said. "I know." Silence fell. The tower creaked in the wind. Konan's breath caught. Nagato looked at Naruto for a long time, at the boy who had dismantled 6 paths of God in minutes. Who could have erased him from existence with a thought? Who had come here not with anger but with a proposition? "Why?" Nagato whispered. "Why not simply kill me and be done?" "Because you were a child once, a child who was hurt by the same system that hurt me, by a world that uses people as weapons and calls it peace." Naruto's voice carried the weight of ages. "I can't fix what was done to you, but I can give you the chance to undo what you did to others, to go out as something more than the pain that defined you." Nagato's eyes glistened. For the first time in decades, something other than rage lived behind those Rinnegan. "Jiraiya-sensei believed in you," Nagato said. "He told us, me, Yahiko Konan, that one day someone would break the cycle. I didn't believe him." "Believe him now," Naruto said. Nagato looked at Konan. She was crying, silently, beautifully, the tears running down her face like rain down blue paper. "Do it," she whispered to him. "Go to Yahiko. He's waiting." Nagato's ruined hands formed the seal. Outer path, Rin rebirth. The king of hell, the true one, the original, summoned directly by the wielder's own power, rose from the earth, its mouth opened, and every soul taken by Pain's invasion flooded back into the world. Every dead shinobi gasped back to life. Every stopped heart restarted. Every closed eye opened. Nagato's body withered. The last of his life force drained into the technique. His rinnegan dimmed, his breathing slowed. "Tell Jiraiya-sensei," Nagato whispered, "that his student chose to believe in the end. He died with something like peace on his ruined face." Konan folded his body in paper. Gently, lovingly, she looked at Naruto with eyes still wet but steady now. "I will protect this body," she said, "and his dream of peace, the real dream, not the twisted version, I will carry it forward." Naruto nodded. "If you need help, the Leaf Village's doors are open." "You mean your doors are open?" Naruto smiled. "Same thing." Konan almost smiled back. Almost. She vanished in a storm of paper butterflies, carrying Naruto and Yahiko's bodies into the sky. Naruto stood in the empty tower and breathed. The weight of the fight settled on him. Not exhaustion, he hadn't been pushed physically, but the emotional cost. The sorrow of watching someone choose death as redemption. The grief of a cycle that kept turning. "Kurama," he said silently. "I'm here," the fox rumbled. "I hate this world sometimes." "I know, kid, but I'm gonna make it better." "I know that too." Naruto walked out of the tower into the sunlight. Below, Konoha was whole, its people alive, its streets intact, his village saved again, this time not by reversing time, but by reaching the human behind the attack. Different method, same result. The village was safe. Tamari was waiting at the gate when he came home. She didn't say anything, just grabbed the front of his jacket, pulled him down to her level, and kissed him. Hard, fierce. The kiss of someone who had watched the man she loved fight a god and win and walk back to her covered in dust and golden light. Naruto's brain stopped working for approximately 4 seconds. Then he kissed her back. His hands found her waist, her fingers tangled in his hair, and the world narrowed to just the two of them standing in the gate's shadow, while Konoha celebrated its survival around them. When they broke apart, Tamari's teal eyes were bright with tears she'd never let fall in public. "Don't ever scare me like that again," she said. "Tamari, I fight people who think they're gods on a semi-regular basis. I can't promise." She kissed him again. Shorter, sharper, a punctuation mark. "Lie to me then," she said. He laughed, pulled her close, pressed his forehead against hers. "I'll always come back," he said. "That one I can promise." She believed him. The war came 3 months later. Not a skirmish, not a border conflict, not a political tension that escalated into violence. A world war. The Fourth Shinobi World War. Because behind Akatsuki, behind Pain, behind every attack and every captured beast, there was a man. A masked man with a single Sharingan, a plan older than most nations, and an ideology that made Pain's look like a children's game. Obito Uchiha. The man who should have died in the Third War. The man who survived, corrupted by grief, twisted by Madara Uchiha's dying machinations, and now wielding the power to bring the world to its knees. His plan was simple. Capture all 9-tailed beasts. Seal them into the Gedo Mazo, revive the 10 tails, cast an infinite genjutsu on the entire world, and trap every living person in a dream of their own happiness. The infinite Tsukuyomi, he declared war on the 5 great nations. And for the first time in shinobi history, all 5 villages allied, the Shinobi Alliance was formed. 80,000 shinobi from 5 nations marshaled under a unified command, prepared to face an army of 100,000 white Zetsu clones and the reanimated dead. Naruto stood in the war council room, surrounded by the 5 Kage, and he felt the weight the moment. Not the military weight, the personal weight. A king going to war. Again. "The white Zetsu are time-resistant," he reported, his temporal awareness having already scanned captured samples. "Their cellular structure doesn't follow normal temporal rules. Hashirama's cells give them a pseudo-regeneration that resists my aging techniques. I can still pause and erase them, but it requires direct attention. 100,000 of them means I can't handle the army alone." "No one expected you to," Tsunade said. She'd taken over his fifth Hopain attack, her diamond seal blazing, her presence commanding. "What about the reanimated shinobi?" the Raikage demanded. His massive frame radiated impatience. "Kabuto Yakushi has brought back every dead legend in history. Can you handle them?" Naruto nodded. Edo Tensei operates on the same temporal principle I disrupted during the invasion 3 years ago. Paper tags acting as time anchors, holding dead souls in a present they don't belong in. I can release them. All of them? Onoki, the ancient Tsuchikage, asked. If I can reach them, which is why I'll be where the fighting is heaviest. The Kage exchanged glances. 5 leaders of 5 nations, united for the first time, placing their trust in a 16-year-old boy with the power of a god and the enthusiasm of a researcher. One more thing, Naruto said. His expression shifted. The warmth dimmed. The weight settled. The masked man, Obito, he has a space-time jutsu. Kamui, he phases through attacks by sending parts of his body to another dimension, and he can teleport instantly to a pocket reality. How do we counter that? Meitarumi, the Mizukage, asked. Naruto's smile was thin, sharp, the blade fully visible. His technique sends matter to another point in space-time. That's his domain. Naruto's grimoire materialized, its golden light filling the war room. Time itself is mine. There is no dimension he can hide in that I can't reach. The room went silent. Then go, the Raikage said, and end this. The war was hell. 80,000 shinobi against 100,000 clones, scattered across 10 battlefields, fighting through darkness and desperation. The reanimated dead, legends from every era, walked the earth again, forced to fight their descendants, their students, their loved ones. Naruto deployed his temporal instances across 4 fronts simultaneously. On the Western Front, he released 30 reanimated shinobi from Edo Tensei in under a minute, touching each one, dissolving the paper tags, setting the dead free. Former Kage, legendary warriors, departed friends. Each one met his golden eyes for a brief moment before fading into the light with gratitude on their faces. On the Northern Front, he erased 5,000 white Zetsu in a single technique, a massive chrono erasure wave that swept across the battlefield like a golden tide, aging the Hashirama cell constructs to dust in a heartbeat. Allied shinobi watched the wave pass harmlessly through them while the enemy ranks disintegrated. On the Eastern Front, he fought 7 reanimated swordsmen of the mist. 1 against 7, each wielding a legendary blade, each with infinite stamina and immortal bodies. Naruto paused them all, walked between the frozen swordsmen, dissolved their tags one by one, released them. Zabuza's reanimated form, because of course they're back too, looked at Naruto in the moment before release. His bandaged face showed surprise, then recognition, then something that might have been a smile. Still asking questions, kid? Zabuza managed. Always. Naruto touched his forehead. Rest now, you've earned it. Zabuza faded. Free. On the Southern Front, Naruto found Temari. She was fighting alone. 3 white Zetsu squads had pushed past her support unit, and she stood atop a ridge with her fan fully deployed, sending killing winds into the enemy ranks with the fury of a desert storm. Blood on her face, exhaustion in her limbs, determination in every swing. Naruto appeared beside her, his golden cloak flaring, his grimoire burning, 9 tails of light fanning behind him. Need a hand? He asked. Temari glanced at him, grinned. Even now, even covered in dirt and blood and war, her grin was devastating. Show off, she said. Learn from the best. He turned to the incoming Zetsu wave, raised a hand, erased 300 of them in a single pulse. Temari's wind took the rest. They fought back to back through the night. Time magic and wind chakra intertwining, his pauses creating openings for her strikes, her gales carrying his temporal effects across wider areas. A partnership of power and precision. Between waves, she grabbed his collar and kissed him. Brief, hard, tasting of blood and determination. Don't die, she said. Never, he said. They went back to killing. The battlefield converged on a single point by dawn. Obito Uchiha, unmasked now, his scarred face visible, his Rinnegan and Mangekyo Sharingan blazing in mismatched eyes. Behind him, the Gedo Mazo had consumed 7 of the 9-tailed beasts. Its body was transforming, growing, warping, becoming something beyond. The 10 tails was nearly reborn. And beside Obito, standing on the statue's hand with the calm arrogance of a man who had orchestrated everything from beyond death, was Madara Uchiha, the real Madara, brought back by Edo Tensei and then released from it, made truly alive again through the Rinna rebirth technique, forced from a captured vessel. Living, breathing, whole. The legendary ghost returned to the world with all his power intact and all his ambition burning. 2 Uchiha, 1 plan. The end of the world as it was known. Naruto arrived at the final battlefield alone. His temporal instances merged back into a single being, their gathered experience and power reuniting into one overwhelming whole. He stood across the field from Madara and Obito. Behind him, the allied forces were regrouping. Beside him, his grimoire orbited in a tight spiral. Its glow intensified beyond anything it had shown before. Madara looked at him. Ancient eyes in a young face, reanimated, revived, restored to his prime. The man who had fought Hashirama Senju to a standstill. The man who had captured tailed beasts with his eyes alone. The Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Madara said. His voice was deep, resonant. The voice of a man who had never in his life doubted his own supremacy. I've heard interesting things about you, Madara Uchiha. Naruto's tone was flat, no sparkle in his eyes, no enthusiasm, no warmth. This wasn't a jutsu to admire. This wasn't a technique to study. This was a man who wanted to enslave the world. Your plan is insane, Naruto said. Trapping everyone in a dream, removing free will from every living being, that's not peace. That's murder. It is mercy, Madara said. Reality is suffering. I offer an alternative. You offer a cage. Naruto's golden cloak flared. His eyes burned with combined sage bijou and temporal power. And I tear down cages. He moved. Madara moved. The battlefield exploded. The fight between Naruto Uzumaki and Madara Uchiha was not a spar, not a test, not a contest. It was reality screaming. Madara opened with Susanoo, the perfect variant, a colossus of armored chakra the size of a mountain, wielding twin blades that could cleave geography. It swung at Naruto with the force of a continent shifting. Naruto raised one hand. The blade stopped. The Susanoo's arm froze in temporal stasis, not the construct, not the wielder, just the limb in mid-swing, caught in a single frozen instant. Madara's eyes widened. Impossible. Naruto's other hand rose. Chrono Rasengan, the modified technique, the one that erased matter from the timeline, slammed into the frozen Susanoo arm. The ethereal construct ceased to exist in a sphere of temporal negation. The arm was gone. Severed not by force but by erasure, Madara reformed it in a second. The Susanoo regenerated. His Mangekyo blazed. Interesting. Madara actually smiled, the smile of a warrior who had found his equal for the first time in 100 years. You stop time and you erase what you touch. What else? Naruto's expression didn't change. Everything. He accelerated, not his body, his temporal frame of reference. While the world moved at normal speed, Naruto moved at a speed that made time itself seem slow. He crossed the distance between himself and the Susanoo in what appeared to be a single step, but was actually hundreds of steps taken in accelerated time, invisible to any observer. He appeared inside the Susanoo, between the ethereal ribs. Directly in front of Madara, the legendary Uchiha's reflexes were beyond human. His Sharingan tracked the impossible movement. His body twisted, his hand forming seals for a point-blank fire technique. Naruto's palm hit Madara's chest. Chronostasis internal, not external, not a bubble around the target, internal. The time inside Madara's body froze, his organs stopped. His blood ceased flowing, his neurons ceased firing, his chakra ceased molding. But his consciousness remained, just like Kakashi years ago, aware, trapped, frozen in the amber of a moment that would not pass. Naruto held the legendary shinobi in stasis and spoke. His voice was even, empty of hate but full of finality. You are the most powerful enemy I have ever faced. Your techniques are incredible. Your battle sense is unmatched. Your willpower is extraordinary. Naruto's eyes bore into Madara's frozen ones. And none of it means anything because your dream is a nightmare wearing a crown. He released the stasis. Madara gasped, staggered. His hands flew to his chest, feeling for damage, finding none, finding only the memory of perfect imprisonment. The same sensation Kakashi had felt years ago, the same existential horror. You, Madara's voice actually shook. You froze my internal biological processes while maintaining my consciousness. The precision required is absolute, Naruto finished. I can do it again, forever, if I want. I can lock you in a single moment for eternity while you remain perfectly aware of every second that passes outside. The threat landed, not with rage, with certainty. The certainty of someone stating a mathematical truth. Madara's response was to laugh, a real laugh, full and deep and carrying the echo of a man who had spent his entire life waiting for a worthy opponent. Magnificent, Madara roared. His Susanoo reformed, larger, denser, more complete than before. His Rinnegan blazed. Then I'll simply have to be faster than your ability to freeze me. He attacked. Full power. Nothing held back. Meteor summoning techniques, wood style stolen from Hashirama's cells, gravitational manipulation from the Rinnegan, and the pure taijutsu prowess of the greatest warrior ever born. The battlefield became a wasteland. Mountains rose and fell. Gravity shifted and twisted. Fire and wood and stone and lightning crashed and reformed in endless cycles. And through it all, Naruto matched him. Every meteor, aged to dust before impact. Every Susanoo strike, frozen and shattered. Every gravitational pull, negated by temporal authority. Every wood construct, accelerated to rot. They fought for 20 minutes that reshaped the landscape for miles in every direction. 20 minutes that the watching Allied forces could barely comprehend. 20 minutes that would be spoken about for centuries. And at the end of those 20 minutes, Naruto stopped playing defensive. He appeared behind Madara, inside the Susanoo. Again, the same position, the same proximity, but this time his hand didn't pause. Chrono erasure, full sequential. His palm pressed against Madara's back. The golden light expanded, not in a sphere, in a timeline. It entered Madara's body and began erasing him sequentially, cell by cell, moment by moment. Unmaking the legend one instant at a time, Madara felt it, felt himself coming undone. Not dying, being removed. Each atom of his body isolated from the timeline and deleted. Madara's voice cracked. For the first time. The first and only time. You wanted to erase the world's free will, Naruto said. His voice carried over the sound of reality bending. I'm erasing you instead. Consider it poetic justice. Madara's body dissolved. From the back forward, golden light consuming the legend of the Uchiha clan, unmaking the ghost that had haunted the world for a century. In his last moment, his final conscious instant before the erasure reached his brain, Madara Uchiha looked at Naruto Uzumaki and saw something he recognized, a king. Then he was gone. Completely. Absolutely. Permanently. No Edo Tensei could bring back what no longer existed in time. No Rin rebirth could restore what had been removed from the sequence of moments entirely. Madara Uchiha was erased from the present, and the battlefield went silent. Obito remained. But without Madara, without the plan's architect, the remaining Uchiha stood alone beside the half-formed Ten Tails. His masked face was gone, his scarred features exposed, and in his mismatched eyes lived something that wasn't the cold determination of a mastermind. It was grief. Raw, old, festering grief that had never healed. Naruto turned to face him, his golden cloak still blazing, his grimoire still burning, but his expression shifted, softened, because unlike Madara, unlike Pain, unlike Orochimaru, Obito was not evil. Obito was broken. Obito Uchiha, Naruto said. He walked across the battlefield toward the scarred man. Each step steady, each step carrying the weight of someone who knew exactly who stood before him. Kakashi's teammate, Rin's beloved. Obito flinched at the name, at the wound that had never closed. You watched her die, Naruto said. Not accusation, observation, understanding. Kakashi's hand through her chest. The girl you love killed by your best friend. And from that moment, you decided the world deserved to be unmade. Don't, Obito whispered. His hands shook. Don't stand there and pretend you understand. I watched an entire kingdom fall. Naruto's voice was quiet, old, carrying the echo of a wizard king who had lost his people. In another life, I stood at the top and watched everything I loved crumble beneath me. I know what it feels like to decide the world isn't worth saving. He stopped 3 feet from Obito, close enough to touch, close enough to kill. He did neither. But I was wrong then, and you're wrong now. The world isn't your pain, it's everyone's, and you don't get to steal their future because yours was stolen. Obito's Rinnegan spun, his Mangekyo distorted space. Kamui activated, the pocket dimension reaching out to swallow Naruto, to pull him into the space between spaces where physical power meant nothing. Naruto didn't resist. He stepped into Kamui. Inside, the pocket dimension was empty, gray, a void of featureless space where Obito had stored weapons, prisoners, and pieces of his broken heart. Obito appeared beside him, eyes wide. You came willingly? You can't hide from time, Obito, even in a place that exists outside normal space. Naruto looked around the pocket dimension with a mix of academic curiosity and profound sadness. This is where you keep your loneliness. I can feel it. The temporal weight of all the moments you've spent here alone, grieving. Shut up! Obito's hands formed seals, fire techniques, earth techniques, Kamui distortions. Everything he had launched at the boy who stood in his sanctuary and spoke truth he couldn't bear to hear. Naruto didn't dodge. He raised a barrier of frozen time around himself, a perfect sphere where nothing could enter, nothing could touch, nothing could reach. He let Obito exhaust himself. Let the man throw everything he had at an unbreakable wall. Let the rage burn itself out until Obito stood on his knees, panting, his attack scattered across the pocket dimension like a child's tantrum frozen in gray space. Then Naruto dropped the barrier, walked forward, knelt before the broken man. Rin wouldn't want this, Naruto said. Obito's breath caught, his hands clenched, his entire body trembled with the effort of not breaking apart. She loved you, both of you, Kakashi and you. Her death wasn't a reason to destroy the world. It was a tragedy that deserved grief, not a philosophy that justified genocide. Naruto extended his hand, the same gesture he'd offered Sai, the same gesture he'd offered Haku, the same gesture he offered everyone who stood at the edge of their own darkness. Come back, Naruto said. It's not too late. Obito looked at the hand, at the boy offering it, at the golden light that surrounded someone who could have killed him 100 times over and chose instead to kneel and ask. It is too late, Obito whispered. I've killed thousands, started a war, summoned the dead. There's no coming back from. There is always a path forward. As long as you draw breath, you can choose differently. Naruto's smile was sad, but steady. I can't reverse what you've done to others, but I can offer you the chance to spend whatever time you have left making it count. The pocket dimension was silent. Two figures in gray space, one kneeling, one reaching. Obito took the hand. The war ended. Not with a final attack. Not with a cataclysmic blast. Not with the death of the last villain in a blaze of glory. It ended with a broken man choosing to live. The aftermath was complex. Obito's surrender, combined with the release of the captured tailed beasts from the Gedo Mazo, achieved through Naruto's temporal reversal of the extraction process, ended the immediate threat. The allied forces stood down. The White Zetsu army disconnected from its command, dissolved into inert matter within hours. The war lasted 3 days. Casualty count minimal thanks to Naruto's temporal instances operating across every front simultaneously. Structural damage reversed. Reanimated dead released. Obito was remanded to custody. His crimes were beyond what any single village could adjudicate. A joint tribunal was formed, the first of its kind, with representatives from all 5 nations, Naruto testified. Not for leniency, not for punishment, for truth. He was a boy who was manipulated by Madara Uchiha from the moment he survived the cave-in, Naruto told the tribunal. That doesn't erase his crimes, but it contextualizes them. He is responsible, and he knows it. Whatever sentence you decide, make it meaningful. Make it redemptive. The world doesn't need more cycles of vengeance. Obito was sentenced to life service. Every remaining day would be spent rebuilding what he'd broken. Under watch, under restriction, but alive, and given purpose rather than punishment. Kakashi visited him the day after sentencing. The 2 former teammates sat across from each other in a bare room. What passed between them was private, but when Kakashi left, his eye was red and his step was lighter than it had been in 15 years. The tailed beasts were freed, not sealed, not contained, not weaponized, freed. Naruto stood before the 8 remaining beasts, all gathered in a valley far from civilization, and offered them a choice. His grimoire's pages open, his expression warm, his hands extended. You can go anywhere, live anywhere, be anything. No more cages, no more Jinchuriki, no more being treated as weapons or resources. Kurama manifested beside him, full size, glorious in his power, 9 tails fanning behind him, his red eyes sweeping across his siblings with something that might have been emotion. He means it, Kurama rumbled. This one is different. He always was. The beasts chose. Some vanished into the wilds, content with freedom. Some chose to remain affiliated with villages that treated them well. Shukaku returned to the desert, close to Gaara, their bond no longer one of prison and prisoner but of mutual respect. Kurama stayed with Naruto. You're free too, Naruto told him. You don't have to. I know. The massive fox settled beside his partner played, his tails curling like a nest. I'm choosing to stay. Don't make it weird. Naruto grinned. I would never. You absolutely would. Maybe a little. 6 months after the war, the 5 Kaji Summit convened to discuss the future. The world was different now, changed not just by the war, but by what the war had revealed. A 16-year-old boy had dismantled an army, erased the greatest shinobi legend from existence, talked down a world-ending threat, and freed every tailed beast. The balance of power had shifted, permanently. The question, the Raikage said, his massive arms crossed, is what happens next, with him. All eyes turned to the representative from Konoha. Tsunade smiled. He's going to be Hokage, she said. Obviously. He's 16, Onoki protested. He ended a world war in 3 days. Mei countered. He erased Madara Uchiha from existence, Gaara added. He's 16, Onoki repeated, more weakly. I started my village at 19, Gaara reminded him. The Tsuchikage sighed. Fine, but the inauguration had better have good food. The coronation, because that's what it was no matter what they called it, took place on a spring morning when the cherry blossoms fell like pink snow across Konoha. The village gathered, every shinobi, every civilian, every clan head, every child. They filled the streets below the Hokage Tower, looking up at the rooftop where generations of leaders had stood before them. Naruto Uzumaki, 17 years old, stood at the railing in the Hokage's robes, white and red, the flame pattern at the hem, the hat held in his hands rather than on his head, because he was still talking animatedly to Tsunade about the material composition of the ceremonial fabric. The threading pattern uses chakra-conductive silk from the land of tea. The dye is derived from a plant that naturally absorbs ambient energy. Tsunade Ba-chan, this robe is basically a passive sensor array. Did you know that? Did the other Hokage know? I bet Tobirama knew. He was paranoid enough to. Naruto. Tsunade put her hands on his shoulders, turned him toward the railing, toward the sea of faces below. Shut up and accept your dream. He looked out at the village, his village, 300,000 faces looking up at him. Some smiling, some crying, some cheering, some silent with the weight of the moment. He saw Sakura in the front row, tears streaming, fist pumping. Sasuke beside her, arms crossed, the faintest upturn at the corner of his mouth. Kakashi somewhere in the crowd, probably reading his book, definitely crying behind it. He saw his friends, his comrades, the children he'd inspired, the shinobi he'd fought beside, the civilians he'd protected. He saw Tamari, standing with the Sand Village delegation, her arms crossed, her fan on her back, her teal eyes bright with a pride she didn't bother hiding anymore. When their eyes met, she mouthed something he didn't need to read lips to understand. About time. Naruto laughed, put the hat on his head, looked down at the village he'd saved, protected, and loved since the day his soul remembered what it meant to be a king. His grimoire materialized beside him. Not hidden, not suppressed, burning in the morning light like a golden star, its pages turning in the breeze, visible to every person in the village. Let them see it. Let the world see it. He had nothing to hide and everything to share. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, he called out, his voice carrying across the village with the same weight it always did. Not through volume, through presence, through the absolute sincerity of someone speaking truth. I'm your 7th Hokage, and I promise you this. The crowd went silent, listening. Every technique, every bloodline, every unique ability in this village is a treasure. Every person who calls Konoha home is irreplaceable. I will study you, protect you, irritate you with questions you don't want to answer, and I will never, never let anyone treat this village as anything less than the miracle it is. The cheer that erupted shook the foundations of the tower. Naruto grinned. Wild, free, incandescent. The boy who'd been hated, who'd been alone, who'd been dismissed and forgotten and feared, standing at the top of the world with golden light around him in a village beneath him that loved him as fiercely as he loved it. The grimoire's pages turned. Kurama purred within the seal. The cherry blossoms fell. The Wizard King was home. Life as Hokage was impossibly exactly what Naruto had always wanted. Not the power, not the authority, not the title. The scrolls, the sealed techniques, the classified research, the Uzumaki archives, Tobirama's original notes, Hashirama's personal journals, generations of accumulated knowledge sitting in a vault beneath the tower, waiting for someone with clearance to read it. Naruto read it all in 3 weeks. Then he started improving it. His first act as Hokage was to declassify 60% of the village's sealed techniques. Not weapons, not dangerous forbidden arts, but medical advances, agricultural chakra applications, infrastructure jutsu, knowledge that had been locked away for no reason other than institutional paranoia. His second act was to reform the academy curriculum. Students would learn about all 5 nations' techniques, about bloodlines without fear, about the history of every clan, including the ones that had been erased. His third act was to open Konoha's borders to refugees of bloodline purges. Any person hunted for what they were, for the ability in their blood, had a home in the Leaf Village. Haku was the first to accept. She'd been living quietly since Wave Country, teaching ice techniques to interested students. Under Naruto's administration, she became the head of a new department, Unique Bloodline Research and Integration. Naruto's enthusiasm for the position was infectious. He attended every department meeting personally, not because he had to, but because he genuinely wanted to know what the sanitation department's new water purification jutsu did at the molecular level. Lord Hokage, his assistant, said one morning, "You have 14 meetings today. Cancel the political ones. Keep the ones with the research departments." Lord Hokage, the fire daimyo, can wait. The agricultural division figured out how to use wood release principles to accelerate crop growth cycles without depleting soil nutrients. Do you understand how that changes food security for the entire continent? I'm not missing that briefing for politics. Lord Hokage, I'll send a temporal clone to the political stuff. Nobody can tell the difference anyway. His assistant sighed. Tamari-sama said you'd say that. She asked me to remind you that if you skip the daimyo meeting again, she's breaking your favorite research desk. Naruto paused, considered. She wouldn't. She specifically said, he knows I would. Fine, I'll go to both. Tell the agricultural division I'll be there by noon. Tamari moved to Konoha permanently 6 months into his administration. Not as a diplomat, not as a liaison, as his partner. The announcement was made without ceremony. One day, the Hokage's residence had 1 occupant. The next, it had 2. The Sand Village sent a formal note of congratulations. Gaara sent a personal scroll that simply read, "If you make her unhappy, I will bury you in sand." Naruto framed it. Their relationship was what it had always been. Intellectual equals challenging each other. 2 forces of nature orbiting a shared center of gravity. She ran the village's defensive strategy division because nobody else could match her tactical mind. He ran everything else because nobody could stop him. They argued about wind dynamics over dinner, sparred in the training grounds when stress built up, fell asleep in his office reading scrolls, her head on his shoulder, his grimoire dimming its light to let them rest. "You're the strangest person I've ever met," she told him one night, her voice sleepy, her body warm against his. "I know. Best decision you ever made." She laughed, low and soft and real. "Don't push it, Leaf Boy." He kissed her temple. She let him. The cherry blossoms fell outside the window and time moved forward, and it was good. 5 years of peace. In those 5 years, Naruto Uzumaki transformed the shinobi world. The inter-village communication network he established, using temporal synced message seals that delivered information instantaneously regardless of distance, made border conflicts almost impossible to surprise anyone. The joint research initiative between all 5 nations, sharing bloodline knowledge, medical advances, and agricultural techniques, turned former enemies into collaborators. The Tailed Beast Treaty, granting each Biju sovereign status as entities rather than weapons, ended the Jinchuriki system forever. And through it all, Naruto remained Naruto, sneaking into research labs, interrogating visiting scholars about their clan's secret techniques, sending temporal clones to 6 different countries simultaneously to observe unique bloodline manifestations. The world changed, not through force, not through fear, through the sheer gravitational pull of someone who found every single person on the planet interesting enough to learn from. But peace in the shinobi world was always temporary, always fragile, always waiting for the next person who decided they deserved more than their share. Kaguya Otsutsuki descended from the sky on a Tuesday. No warning, no buildup, no slow revelation. One moment the sky was blue and clear over Konoha. The next, it wasn't. A rift opened in the atmosphere. Not a portal, a wound. Reality peeled back like torn paper, revealing a void between worlds that was darker than space and older than the planet itself. She came through it like gravity itself. Inevitable, Absolute, a force of nature wearing the shape of a woman. White hair cascading to the ground. Pale skin. A third eye on her forehead, burning with the Reincarnation. Horns protruding from her skull. The progenitor, the rabbit goddess. The mother of all chakra. The original source of everything the shinobi world had built upon. She had been sealed for 1,000 years. And something had released her. Her presence hit the village like a tidal wave. Not killing intent, something worse. Something beyond emotion. The weight of an existence so old and so powerful that human minds simply couldn't process it without fracturing. Civilians collapsed. Jinin blacked out. Chunin fell to their knees. Even Jonin staggered, their vision swimming, their chakra systems screaming in the presence of the original source. In the Hokage Tower, Naruto felt her arrive. Not through sensing, through temporal awareness. The timeline itself distorted around her. She was so old, so fundamentally powerful, that her mere presence warped the flow of time in her vicinity. He stood from his desk. His robe shifted. His grimoire blazed to life. His expression changed, not to the enthusiastic researcher, not to the warm leader, not even to the ancient king who delivered judgment. Something deeper. Something that rose from the absolute core of who he was. Both lives, both identities, merged into a single point of determination. The Wizard King and the Seventh Hokage. Both at once. Both fully present, he appeared on the tower's rooftop in a burst of golden light, looked up at the rift in the sky, at the descending goddess, at the being that was, by every metric, the most powerful entity in the history of the world. Temari was beside him in seconds, her fan deployed, her chakra surging. "What is that?" she demanded. The original, the first chakra user, the source of everything. Naruto's eyes burned gold. "She's come back." "Can you beat her?" Naruto's smile was small, honest, lacking the cocky certainty it usually wore. "I don't know," he said. Temari stared at him. In 5 years together, she had never heard him say those words. He looked at her, took her hand, squeezed. "But I'm going to try." He rose into the sky. The confrontation between Naruto Uzumaki and Kaguya Otsutsuki was not a fight. It was an apocalypse contained. She struck first. Dimensions shifted. The ground beneath Konoha became ice, then lava, then desert, then acid. Kaguya's dimensional manipulation warped reality around her, changing the fundamental nature of the world with a thought. Naruto's grimoire answered. Its pages turned in a storm of golden light so intense it was visible from every corner of the continent. The temporal mandala formed above his head, not the village-wide reversal from years ago. Something larger, deeper. The full weight of the Wizard King's grimoire operating at maximum output, he reversed every dimensional shift as it happened. Ice melted back to earth, lava cooled and reformed to soil, desert bloomed back to forest, acid neutralized to water. Every change Kaguya made unmade in real time. The goddess paused. Her third eye focused on the speck of golden light that opposed her. "You defy the natural order," she said. Her voice was the sound of centuries, of stars dying and being born. "Lady," Naruto said, "I am the natural order. Time existed before you did." He attacked, the Chrono Rasengan in his hand. The technique that erased matter from the timeline screamed toward Kaguya's form. A perfect sphere of temporal annihilation that could unmake gods. Kaguya's hand intercepted it. The all-killing ashbone technique extended from her palm, a spike of matter so lethal that anything it touched died. Permanently. No healing, no reversal. Absolute death bone met Rasengan. The collision warped space for 3 miles in every direction. The ground cratered. The air screamed. Light bent into impossible colors. Neither technique won. They canceled. Mutual annihilation at the point of contact. Naruto processed this in a fraction of a second. She could match his erasure. Her killing technique operated on the same fundamental level as his temporal deletion. Absolute versus absolute. He couldn't erase her. Not directly. Good. He had other options. Chronostasis total. He poured everything into it. Every ounce of temporal authority. Every shred of the grimoire's power. Every drop of Kurama's chakra. Every breath of sage energy. He tried to stop Kaguya's time, to freeze a goddess in a single moment. For one heartbeat, it worked. She stopped, mid-air, mid-attack, frozen in golden light. Then she broke free. Not gradually, not with effort. She simply resumed. As if his ultimate technique was an inconvenience rather than an absolute. Her temporal mass was too great. She was too old, too powerful, too fundamentally real for even Naruto's authority to contain. His nose bled. The strain of attempting to freeze something that old had cost him. The grimoire's pages turned wildly, recalculating, adapting. "You are impressive," Kaguya acknowledged. "For a mortal." She raised both hands. The all-killing ash bones materialized in dozens, hundreds, each one a rod of absolute death, pointed at Naruto like a firing squad's volley. They launched. Naruto's chronostasis caught 60 of them, froze them in midair. But more came, 100 more, 200. A rain of death from a goddess who could produce infinite killing force. He couldn't freeze them all. Not against her. Not against the source. So he changed tactics. "I can't stop you," Naruto admitted. His golden cloak blazed brighter. His expression shifted. Not defeat, determination. The look of a man who had found the wall and was about to go through it. "But I don't need to stop you. I need to send you back." His grimoire opened to its final page. The page he'd never used. The page that burned brighter than all the others combined. The spell that existed at the foundation of time magic itself. Not the manipulation of moments, but the manipulation of existence. Chrono Exile. The air around Naruto ignited. Golden fire wreathed his body. His eyes blazed so bright they were white. The temporal mandala above his head expanded, grew, covering the sky from horizon to horizon. A clock face the size of the world, its hands spinning backward, its numerals ancient beyond ancient. Kaguya felt it. For the first time, something flashed in her third eye. Not fear, confusion. The recognition of a force she did not understand operating against her. The mandala's energy focused, not on destroying Kaguya, not on erasing her, on relocating her, shifting her existence to a different point in the timeline, to the moment before she entered this dimension. Sending her back, not through space, through time. The golden light wrapped around the goddess. She fought it, her dimensional manipulation activated, trying to shift to a space the temporal energy couldn't reach. Naruto followed. His awareness tracked her through dimensional shifts, through pocket realities, through the spaces between spaces. She couldn't hide. Not from someone who controlled the one thing that existed in every dimension simultaneously. Time. The energy tightened, compressed, drew Kaguya's impossibly vast existence into a single point of temporal transit. She screamed, not in pain, in fury. The rage of a being who had ruled unchallenged for eons, now being forcibly removed from reality by a mortal who should have been less than an insect to her. "You cannot." "I can," Naruto said. Blood poured from his nose, his ears, and his eyes. The strain was killing him. The grimoire's pages burned black at the edges, the spell consuming its own medium. Kurama roared within the seal, flooding Naruto with every ounce of power the fox possessed. "You don't belong in this time," Naruto said through gritted teeth. "You were sealed. You were sent away. The world moved on. And I am the guardian of that timeline." He pushed. Kaguya's form compressed, distorted. Her body folded into the temporal transit point, her screams fading as she was pulled backward through the moments, through the years, through the centuries, all the way back to the rift that had released her. The rift sealed behind her, not with a seal, not with a barrier, with the weight of time itself pressing it shut like a wound healing. The edges of reality knit together, smooth and whole, as if the tear had never been. The golden mandala faded from the sky. The light dimmed. The world returned to normal, and Naruto Uzumaki dropped from the sky. He fell like a stone. His golden cloak extinguished. His grimoire's glow dimmed to nothing. His body, pushed beyond every limit, plummeted toward the village he'd saved one final time. Tamari caught him. She was there. She'd been rising on wind the moment he started falling. Her fan deployed, her body moving on instinct and love, and the absolute refusal to let gravity have him. She caught his falling body in the air and descended slowly, her wind chakra cradling them both. He was barely conscious, blood on his face, his eyes flickering, his breathing shallow. "Hey," she said, her voice cracked. "You promised you'd always come back." His eyes focused on her, just barely. A smile, bloody, exhausted, genuine, spread across his face. "I'm back," he whispered. She held him tighter. The village below was cheering. The sky was clear. The goddess was gone. Their Hokage was alive. But Tamari didn't hear any of it. She heard his heartbeat, steady, strong, still there. That was enough. Recovery took 2 weeks. The longest 2 weeks Naruto had ever spent in bed. His body had been pushed to the absolute edge of human endurance. The grimoire had nearly burned itself out. Even Kurama was exhausted, the fox sleeping within the seal for the first time in years. But Naruto healed. Time reversal on himself, supplemented by Sakura's medical expertise, supplemented by Tamari's stubborn insistence that he rest before doing anything else. "Your grimoire is recovering," Tamari told him on the third day, sitting beside his bed with reports. "It's dimmer than usual, but the pages are regenerating." "Good." Naruto's voice was hoarse. "I pushed it too far. The Chrono Exile spell wasn't meant for something that powerful, but it worked. It worked." He reached for her hand, found it, squeezed. "We're safe." Tamari laced her fingers through his. "The village is fine. No casualties. No structural damage. Your mandala held everything together while you fought her." "Good." His eyes closed. "That's all that matters." She watched him sleep. Her thumb traced circles on the back of his hand. Outside the window, Konoha hummed with life. Rebuilding from the minor damage of the initial dimensional shifts, celebrating survival, looking toward a future that seemed impossibly secure, because their Hokage was Naruto Uzumaki. And he always came back. 1 year later, the world was at peace, real peace. Not the fragile, tentative peace of nations too tired to fight. The active, growing peace of nations that had learned, through shared war, shared victory, and one shared 16-year-old boy, that cooperation was more profitable than conflict. The Shinobi Union, as it came to be called, operated from a headquarters built at the crossroads of all 5 nations. Joint missions, shared research, combined defense. The system Naruto had imagined as a child, lying on the 4th Hokage's stone head, dreaming of a world where every jutsu was shared and every person was valued. He made it real. And on a warm evening in autumn, with the leaves turning gold and the sun painting the sky in fire colors, Naruto Uzumaki married Tamari of the Sand in a ceremony attended by representatives from every nation on the continent. Gaara was best man. Sakura was maid of honor. Kurama manifested a miniature fox form to serve as ring bearer, which he did with the grudging dignity of a 1,000-year-old entity forced to participate in human ceremonies. Sasuke stood in the audience, his arms crossed, his expression neutral, his eyes suspiciously bright. Kakashi cried openly behind his book. Rock Lee wept dramatically, inspiring God to weep even more dramatically, inspiring the entire Konoha contingent to reach for tissues. When Naruto kissed his wife, when Tamari grabbed the front of his Hokage robes and pulled him down to her because she was tired of waiting for him to stop talking about the ceremonial silk's chakra properties, the cheer that erupted could be heard across 3 countries, and time moved forward. Years passed, not frozen, not accelerated, not reversed, simply lived. One moment after another in their proper order, at their proper pace. Naruto woke each morning beside Tamari and felt the warmth of a life chosen rather than given. He went to his office and read reports and met with advisors and snuck away to the research labs whenever Tamari wasn't watching. He raised children, blonde and fierce, with their mother's sharp mind and their father's golden light. He taught them about time and wind and the beauty of every jutsu in the world. He taught them that power was a gift meant for protection, never conquest. He watched Konoha grow, watched the world grow, watched the shinobi system evolve from one that created soldiers into one that created scholars, artists, healers, and protectors. He studied, always studying, always learning, always finding new techniques, new bloodlines, new abilities that made his eyes go wide and his notebook appear from nowhere. He grew old, not quickly, not painfully, but steadily. The golden light of his grimoire never dimmed. It aged with him, its pages growing thicker, its knowledge deeper, its warmth stronger. And on the last night, many decades in the future, on a quiet evening when the cherry blossoms fell like snow and the sky was painted in sunset colors, Naruto Uzumaki sat on the Hokage monument, on his own face, now, the 7th carved in stone, beside the 4th, beside his father, both looking out over the village they loved. Tamari sat beside him, gray-haired now, but still sharp, still fierce, still the woman who had walked into a mission briefing decades ago and changed his life with a smirk and a challenge. "Not bad," she said, looking out at the village, at the sprawling, thriving, beautiful Konoha that existed because one boy had loved jutsu enough to save the world. "For a leaf boy." Naruto laughed, the same laugh he'd always had, warm, genuine, full of the wonder that had defined every moment of his existence. Not bad at all, he agreed. His grimoire floated beside him, its pages turned in the evening breeze. The golden glow caught the sunset light and scattered it like diamonds. Below them, the village lived. Children ran through streets, shinobi trained in fields, scholars studied in libraries, families gathered for dinner. The ordinary miracle of existence continuing forward, one moment at a time. Naruto closed his eyes, felt the warmth of Tamari's hand in his, felt the steady heartbeat of the village beneath him, felt the flow of time, his oldest companion, his greatest power, his deepest love, moving forward as it always did, carrying the world into tomorrow. And the Wizard King smiled, not because the story was over, because it never would be. Some things are eternal, not frozen in amber, not paused or stopped or held against their will, but eternal in the way that matters most, in the hearts of people who were changed by them, in the foundations of a world rebuilt around them, in the memory of a golden light that appeared in the sky and said, "I will not let you fall." Naruto Uzumaki was many things: a king reborn, a Jinchuriki freed, a scholar unmatched, a Hokage unprecedented, a husband, a father, a friend, a force of nature wrapped in human warmth. But more than anything, more than all the power and all the magic and all the authority over time itself, he was someone who loved the world. And in the end, the world loved him back.
What a movie. If this slapped, like, subscribe for more wild what-ifs, and comment your favorite part. More fire coming. Stay locked in.